Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the War Report here on Love Wrestling. I am JPJ, and as you can see to the side of me is the franchise, Matt Sell. We already have a hello in the chat, so I want to say hello to Darnell. Thanks for hopping in there, my friend. Good to see you.
What's going on, sir?
Matt, how we doing, man? I know we haven't spoken on here since last weekend. A lot of things have happened that we'll dive into in a little bit, but how we doing today? Today for me, this evening for you.
Yeah, it was a good week, man. Got to work from home, which is always pleasant. Never done that before, so that was interesting.
Yeah.
Hey Josh, what's going on?
Hey Josh, always good to see Josh Robertson.
Yeah, got to work from home, which is always good. As I said, I say always good. I've never done it before, and it was fantastic.
Yeah,
Absolutely
I bet.
godsend. Especially Wednesday and Thursday because I got my first jam.
Oh yes, I know. Yeah, you told me.
Tuesday evening. And I was not good. In the space of 6 hours, I went from perfection to pure dog shite. So Tuesday night was interesting. Wednesday was, if I had to go to the office, then it would have been a sick day for sure. But, other than that, the week was good. Today was good. The weekend as a whole was good. You can't do anything. Can't go anywhere. Can't get my hair cut. Can't get my beard trimmed. Can't do any of that shit.
Yeah.
So I just ironed shirts for work. I, put out a tweet saying I can't wait for Lindsay Snow to be back, and she commented, and I said let's chat, and she's like let's do it, and then she followed the Twitter page of Love Wrestling, and it's just all good shit, man. It's all good stuff. Spencer was happy, which makes me happy.
Yeah, and you love to see it. You always love to see, especially when you can book something like that. That's always a good thing. Before we dive in, as you can see in the corner, kind of below me, I want to thank RK Athletics. They've been a sponsor of ours since the beginning. And you can follow them on all social medias at RK Athletics 1. So if you're looking for any personal training, whether virtual or in person, they're the group to see. It's a bunch of good people. The owner, Rich, is a super good dude. He's been a supporter of ours for a long, long time and a friend of Spencer's as well. So follow them on all the social medias. That is at RK Athletics 1. All right, Matt. So obviously, since the last time we spoke, we did a preview of All Out. All Out happened. I've been on a few shows this week, so everyone that follows us here on Love Wrestling probably knows my opinions of what I thought about All Out. But we haven't heard from you since it happened. So I'll let you have the floor, for the first, however long you want to speak about All Out. Obviously, the things that stuck out to you, maybe your favorite top match or two, just your opinions of All Out in general before we dive into the week of wrestling shows from AEW. I know, there's a lot.
All Out.
Yeah.
This show sucked. I couldn't even keep a straight face. Damn.
Yeah.
That show ruled all. It was so damn good. I was... As I said earlier, I got to work from home, which meant I was able to watch it live. I've since watched it twice. It's even better the second time. It really is. A lot of comparisons. Early days were thrown out between that and Mania 17, due to the quality of show and this, that, the other. And in ring wise, All That stacks up against just about anything. It was damn good. Even like after 4 hours, excuse me, even after 4 hours or near 4 hours, you go back and watch Omega and Christian in segregation, and it's damn good.
Yeah.
And apart from Paul White versus QT, which was conveniently placed between Punk and Darby, and the main event to just be a bit of a come down before picking you right back up. That show just was amazing. It really, really was. There was, it started with, hey, throwback, what's going on, man? It started with Miro and Eddie, and it just didn't let up.
Yeah.
That was good. Moxley and Kojima was solid, and then that was just overridden by Minoru Suzuki.
Yeah.
That ruled.
Yep.
We'll speak more about that later.
I was gonna say, you know how good a show is when Minoru Suzuki showing up at the end of the show is like the sixth thing that you talk about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Britt and Statlander killed it. Absolutely killed it.
Yeah.
That was one of the better women's matches that I've seen for a while. Britt didn't miss a beat. Chris didn't miss a beat. It was just amazing stuff. The cage match, boy, oh boy, oh boy. Intense, amazing. And they did the right thing. They pulled the trigger. The crowd were hot. The crowd were ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they could have taken the easy route of, especially with what happened at the end, with keeping the titles on Matt and Nick and, cheap heat, and just making it so people just absolutely detest them.
Mm-hmm.
But they did the right thing. They pulled the trigger, did the title switch, Penta and Phoenix. I hope they have a good reign. But yeah, that match ruled. What else did we have? Oh my God, I've forgotten.
The Casino Battle Royal.
Casino Battle Royale was
which obviously
solid.
had the Joker being,
Look, we all thought it was going to be Ruby. It seemed too obvious. Was it too obvious? Potentially, but it was still so damn good.
Mm-hmm.
The crowd were hot for her. They were chanting. As soon as they saw that countdown clock, they were chanting for her. They wanted her. They got her. Would I have had a winner? Debatable. But they haven't given, for sure, Ruby. They haven't given us a reason, or for the most part, haven't given us a reason to begrudge their booking decision. So they'll make it work. Ruby, definite highlight. Punk and Darby.
Yeah, I wanted to ask because I know CM Punk is one of, if not your favorite, up there. So what did you think? It wasn't the usual high flying crazy. He made Darby wrestle. Yep. He made Darby wrestle, which was good because Darby can wrestle. And so what'd you think of Punk's comeback? He got the win as most expected, obviously. But what'd you think of the match with Darby and just how Punk looked in his first match back in 7+ years?
I personally enjoyed it. Was it a bit slow at the start? Yeah, they had to pace it. You didn't want Punk after all this big fanfare blowing up after 5-10 minutes, and that was the concern, and they were open about that. Mm-hmm. So the pacing, was it slow to begin with? Yeah, for sure. Of course it was. But once they got into it, I really enjoyed the match. Darby loses absolutely nothing. Punk gets the win that, everyone thought he was going to get, and we move on.
Yep.
QT and Paul White, we knew Paul White was going to win. They didn't drag it out. It was
I thought, yeah. And I feel like going into it, that was the match that everyone was like, whatever. But I thought it was perfect. It was perfect. I can't disagree. He's an attractive man. He's an attractive man.
Josh. And Josh is a thirsty man.
Likes him some Daniel Garcia. I can't blame him. I mean,
there's a lot of hacking going on at the Josh Robinson 00 house at the moment. I've noticed there's a lot of hacking going on over there. You might want to check his passwords or something. I'm not sure, but gee whiz. You want Daniel Garcia to hack you. But the match was, Paul White QT. They didn't make it this 10-minute drag out thing. It was, my bad, sir, my bad. You don't disagree with me, though. They made it a couple of minutes. It was what it was. They gave you time to come down, go to the toilet, do whatever you want to do. And then they brought you right back up with that main event. I mean, Christian was not as good as their Rampage match, but it was still damn good. Mm-hmm. And then you had the debuts.
Yeah.
We all knew Brian was coming. Well, we all thought we knew Brian was coming. Mm-hmm. And when it went dark, you were expecting, the Flight of the Valkyries music to hit. And then you get Adam Cole. Like, if anyone knew, good morning. If anyone knew that was happening, then I'm glad they didn't spoil it because that was a wonderful surprise.
Yeah, it was.
Baby.
Man, yeah. It was and then we got real tight. So I was saying it was Garcia versus Lee Moriarty on AEW Dark. That should be a good one.
He just got signed.
Yes, he did. That was a cool moment. I did see the video of Tony Khan offering him the job at the top of the ramp, and I thought that was very cool. I've seen a few of Moriarty's matches, not a ton, but in the wrestling world and on social medias, he is like everyone high praises praises for him. So
yeah, he's in the same realms as the Garcias. Sorry, Josh, and the Wheelie Utahs and that same realm of IWTV matches, and it's a formula that's working for them, and it's a formula I don't understand why WWE are avoiding.
Yeah,
that's another discussion for another day.
Yes,
Lee Moriarty is tremendous.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's a formula that's working for them. And I really just want to touch on this. I really like that's the route they're headed with Dark in the studio setting. You get the studio feel back that NWA brought back, and everyone loved and craved it. So we're getting that back. We're getting indie talent getting their chance against the established guys. It's a formula, and it's working. It's really, really working.
I agree. Man, Tony Khan with the back-to-back debuts of Cole and Bryan. It's just one of those things where, you heard the rumors of when everything was going to be laid out, and the fact that he was like, no, we're just going to do it all tonight. We're doing it all tonight. And it was just like, man, you don't see that very often, but the way that they did it was beautiful. Adam Cole coming out and kind of teasing and then joining the Elite, where he's real life best friends with the Bucks and like those guys, and that made sense.
Do you know how good Cole's debut was? He came out the heel tunnel, and people were that enamored with it that no one noticed.
Yep. And they were
and then
just
he
cheering
Jungle Boy, and everyone's like, "Oh!" But you go back and watch it, you're like, "Oh shit, he came out the heel tunnel."
Yeah. It was amazing. And then, like you said, you get Bryan Danielson at the end, and everyone kind of knew he was coming. And the rumor had been out there for a while, but just to see him is just it's almost unbelievable until you saw it, and then you were like, "Wow!" Like Danielson that's really
was one of those things. A lot like Punk. I really enjoy his work, and I refused to get overly excited about it until he was physically there, and it couldn't be taken away.
Yeah.
So once the music hit and he came out and he was physically there, then I enabled myself, and I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it now. I enabled myself to actually get excited about it, and that was the best part of it for me.
Mm-hmm. And I think all of us in that moment were that excited wrestling fan. It felt like how I felt when I would watch wrestling when I was a teenager, and I was like, this young innocent kid that was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And it felt that same way as I'm a 36-year-old guy now. I was there on Sunday night like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. This is incredible. And it just, we don't, as wrestling fans, there's a lot of things we like. There's a lot of things we don't like, but I don't think I've had that feeling. And like Josh says, wrestling can be cool. Wrestling, I would argue, is one of the coolest, if not the coolest things there are when it's done.
And the best part is, much like yourself, I'm a mid-30s person. I'm relearning this. Like, this was what I felt in 2001 when the invasion happened, and Survivor Series 2001, winner take all, before internet spoilers were in my realm of thinking. Oh, WWF going to go out of business, rah, 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 and then they win. It's like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing ever. These are the emotions I'm feeling again at 35.
Yeah, and it feels like
I unashamedly had tears when the Lucha Brothers won and Penta was hugging his kids.
Oh yeah,
I cried.
Yeah, that was a moment, and they were trying to rush him off, like, we got to go, and he's like, no, I'm waiting for my kids. I'm celebrating this with my kids. You guys can go F yourselves. I'm not moving. Even Ray Phoenix was like, come on, we got to go.
And he had the blood and the blood.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah. I mean, it was a special night all the way around. It was a special night all the way around. It created optimism throughout the wrestling community, and it had been a while. And when I say a while, I mean a while that, you felt that you felt that optimism, that you felt that excitement.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's just it's been said a bunch, but it's just it's a really good time to be a wrestling fan. It's an exciting time because honestly, you don't know what's coming next. You just don't, and that is what leads to excitement. Yeah. That's what, when we all fell in love with wrestling, you and me, because we're of similar age. The reason why we fell in love with wrestling was the same way, because you didn't know who was popping up on WCW. You didn't know who was popping up on WWF at the time. You didn't know what new factions, what new groups, all these people were going to be there. You didn't know. It was so anything can happen. And you feel like now, at least with one of the companies, this one that we're going to be focusing on today, AEW, you have that feeling again. Oh, who's going to show up next? Who's going to be the next big debut? Like, who's coming? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, there's a guy, Minoru Suzuki showed up. Holy crap. Oh my God. What there's so many interchangeable things that they can do. And right now, still, like you said earlier, they have booked very well, and they have won that benefit of the doubt that, like, they're not missing a beat. They're not missing a beat right now. And it's exciting. It's exciting. All right.
I've chosen to I don't watch weekly WWE television anymore. that includes NXT. It just doesn't work for me anymore. It's not for me. Yeah. So instead of forcing myself to watch something and then being negative about it, I choose to watch something that I enjoy and be positive about that.
Yep. And I agree.
And that's why AEW it's just hitting on all cylinders for me.
Yeah, and I think it's hitting on all cylinders for a lot of people. Like Josh says, he goes, I am baby, so I missed WCW when it happened. So this is really the first of its kind for me with AEW.
And I think that's the case for a lot of people.
Exactly. I think that's the case for a slightly younger generation, like Josh, who are in their early to mid-20s. For us that are in our mid-30s or older wrestling fans, this is like a rekindling of that feeling for us. And it's just like, that's part of the reason why we fell in love with wrestling to begin with, was that feeling of like, this is the coolest shit I've ever seen. It's so fun. It's so exciting. And I think once WWE kind of was the only real ball game you could watch, that went away a little bit, because you knew what you were getting. You knew who the stars were. You only really saw the stars getting pushed. There weren't and we're going to talk about it, but like on Rampage this week, the main event, yes, the big match that everyone was waiting for happens at the front, because that's what they do on Rampage. But the main event that they still treat like a main event was 2 mid-card guys. Yeah. That's what the main event was of Rampage was. But they treated it like it was the main event because it was. And that's just, like seeing those 2 guys they're both tag team wrestlers having a singles match in the main event of a show on a cable network. It's just something you don't see on the other network anymore. It's the main event's going to be the 5 or 6 guys or girls that they're going to be every week. It is what it is. And that's not a knock on the talent, because the talent's great, but it's just, it's formulaic. It's the same. Even the good things that happen, like, you don't get crazy excited for them. You're just like, oh, that was good. It's almost like, oh, I'm glad I saw something good tonight. And I think our minds were built as wrestling fans that way, and AEW is kind of stretching the minds a little bit and making us remember, or like in Josh's case, for the first time, be like, man, I haven't been this excited about wrestling in a while. And Josh says, AEW has renewed my sister's interest in wrestling. She stopped watching wrestling for years and has started watching again because of AEW. She even watches without me now, which she never does. So wrestling can be cool. Yes, it absolutely can, when it's done right, and when and I think at the end of the day, what it comes down to is Tony Khan is a wrestling fan. He grew up a wrestling fan, a diehard wrestling fan. He grew up a diehard Ring of Honor fan. And he knows what wrestling fans want, and he knows what wrestling fans have been missing for a while now, and he's literally just giving it to us. He's going, all right, my family and myself, we have the money, we got the wrestlers, we got the right crew. Here's everything that I wanted 10, 15 years ago. Here it is.
But they've also got the business acumen to understand.
Of course. Yeah.
They're going to run at a loss for a period.
Mm-hmm.
At the moment, they are making no money.
No, they're in the red. They're in the red.
But they understand that they'll be in the black and then some in due course.
Yep.
Because
you got to.
half of their existence, they didn't have crowds, they didn't have live gates. They were lucky that they had Daly's Place. If they didn't have Daly's Place, they would have struggled big.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But
Daly's Place was a godsend for them because they had an arena that they didn't have to pay for. They already own it. They didn't have to pay for, and they could just do their tapings, do their shows for over a year. Yeah. And they didn't have to worry about anything.
Mm-hmm. Granted, I hope they don't go back there for a long, long time.
Yeah. I mean, you got to have some separation. We got to get some separation, hopefully, as things continue to progress in the States and everywhere else. Obviously, I know you guys are still, but as we progress, hopefully, the Thunderdome, the Daly's Place crowd, like that's a thing of the past. We don't have to worry about that anymore,
Yeah, and just one last thing, and Josh is in the chat. He'll correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm fairly sure it was Josh that tweeted out, All Out renewed his passion for professional wrestling again, something that he felt was starting to dwindle.
Yeah.
And that is the highest form of flattery for a promotion that they could ever receive.
Yeah, I agree.
The fact that they are able to drag people, well, not drag, but pull people back in because their product is quality, that's top notch. It really is. It just goes to show.
Confirms it was
it was. It's just, for me personally, they're firing on all cylinders, and we're going to talk about the two shows this week, and All Out, just so good.
It was so good. It was so good. All right, let's dive into this. We will start with AEW Dynamite, which was on Wednesday evening. The show opened up, and it was Malachi Black versus Dustin Rhodes. The presentation of Malachi Black, and I know you preferred when he walked from out the middle, not really sitting at the front of the stage like he was this time. But just the whole presentation of him, the music, I love the aspect when he gets towards the ring where it goes black and then he just appears in different sections of the ring. I think that is so unique and so cool. Josh, thank you for hopping in, my friend. Have a good rest of your night. Appreciate the well wishes, my friend.
Have a good sleep, man.
I love it, and I love the mask that he wears. It's creepy, it's dark. That part of it, I love it. I just love the presentation. And I thought this match with Dustin Rhodes, it went a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. But I thought it was a pretty damn good match. Dustin Rhodes is still really good in that ring for his age, and we're still really good in that ring. I'll let you go for a little bit. What were your initial impressions of this opening match between Dustin Rhodes and Malachi Black?
Yeah, the presentation of Malachi is just top notch. That's just whoever came up with it, whether it was himself, Tony, Cody, anyone, I don't care who it was. It's phenomenal. It's just so cool. It's like the Undertaker was. It's intimidating from the jump, and he's absolutely killing it 100%. The thing about him walking through the center there instead of sitting on the ramp and going from there, that's just nitpicky. That's just, that's what he's been doing, and I thought it was cool. Mm-hmm. But it is what it is. When they showed replays of him and Cody, he was wearing fight shorts. Now he's back to trunks. I prefer the fight shorts.
Mm-hmm.
I
think I do too a little bit.
Made him look more, I don't know, more dangerous. And I don't know how, just aesthetically, I think it's just a better look. It's just a change from what he was at his previous employer for me.
Yeah.
I think. So maybe, I don't know whether that's something he's going to go back to. I don't know, but, again, nitpicky. Pacing of the show seemed off early.
Well, and I think it came back around towards the end, which I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit. The timing or pace or, whatever it was.
But I noticed it, like Malachi was sitting in the ring and it looked like they were about to, when they would normally change camera angle to him and he would go a bit longer, music cut straight to Dustin's. And I was like, okay, seems a bit off, but you know what? Again, nitpicky. I love that Taz mentioned during the match that Dustin's won 13 out of 14 heading to this. It made the viewer think, oh, okay, Dustin's actually decent. He's good.
Mhm.
You know, not this older guy just representing
Hanging on,
family, hanging in there, whatever. He's actually legitimately a chance here. When honestly, no one thought he was going to win. So I thought that was good. The match itself, probably the worst of Black's matches in AEW for me personally. Wasn't bad by any stretch, but I just thought it was not as good as the others. The Lee Johnson one was probably the pick of the bunch for me.
That was a good match.
Yeah, but again, Black still not finding his feet, but just I don't know, just progressing the story. He's basically just getting to not this week coming, but Arthur Ashe. Basically, that's
Exactly.
Sort of what he's getting. I'd probably just keep him off the show, or have him cut a promo this week. He doesn't need another match before Cody. Don't really think he needed an exposed turnbuckle to beat Dustin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, probably a bit nitpicky, but I think the way he's been presented, he could have won clean rather than getting this ho-hum sort of win. I get it. It was to do the angle with the blood out the mouth and rah, but they hype his kicks up. Kick him twice if you have to.
Yeah.
Make it so that the kick is deadly or dangerous and have the blood that way.
Yeah.
I don't know. There are ways around doing things, but all in all, solid opener. Not what I thought they were going to open with personally, but they did. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't the best.
Yeah. There was a back suplex through a table spot that Dustin took earlier in the match. Dustin hit a Canadian destroyer on Malachi Black in the match, which was a good-looking spot. The one thing that I did notice is, we were used to calling it the Black Mass, but the spinning heel kick that they're calling it, he hit him in the shoulder, I think, just because Dustin's a big dude. And I think it was just a mistiming of sorts, but he hit him in the shoulder, and they ended the match that way, which is fine. I maybe would have just lifted him up and kind of hit him again, maybe right back to back. We've seen him do that before sometimes, like something like that. But that seemed to be just like a little misjudgment of the height or whatever. But again, if you're nitpicking, that means that all in all, the shit's good. So it is what it is.
Yeah, they also mistimed a power slam spot, which they improvised on the fly.
Improvised it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they fixed it, but so chemistry wasn't 100%, but I would assume it's their first time working together. So all in all, in that respect, great.
Yeah, it is what it is. We then get a couple vignettes. We get a Lucha Brothers vignette real quick, where Phoenix says that finally the best tag team on the universe are the new champs, and then Penta speaks, and then Abraham says, Penta says, these championships cost blood, sweat, and tears, and anyone who is willing to suffer can try to take them from them. Short, sweet, effective. We then run into an Eddie Kingston and Miro vignette right after.
Man.
This was good. We're going to talk about. Do you have anything to say about the Lucha Brother one, or was that just kind of straightforward?
It's straightforward. I can only assume they recorded that
before.
No, I reckon they might have done that at All Out.
You think so?
Well, I can't see them allowing Penta to just rock around with dry blood on the title.
Yeah, it's true. I liked it though. I liked how there was still blood on the title. Too. I thought that was a nice little. I
would love that they did if they allowed him to, but during COVID times, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's true.
But
so then we do get this Eddie Kingston and Miro vignette. It starts off with Eddie Kingston. He says, Miro and him kicked it off like two men, and then Miro had to do a low blow and kind of be a cheap guy there. He says, anybody that knows anything about God knows that he has no favorites. And then Miro, right then, he goes, Eddie said they would walk through hell, but Eddie found out that you can't hurt a man this hot. And then he said that he also had to ice his balls after the match. And and then he just said, hey, if you want to go at it again, I'll destroy you again. And that's the word of the Redeemer.
Didn't he also say he was going to sacrifice something to his hot wife?
Yes, he said he was going to sacrifice. Yeah, he would sacrifice him to his hot wife. Yes.
Yeah.
I do remember that. You got to mention the hot wife. It's part of the shtick now. You got to mention God's favorite champion and the hot wife every promo.
CJ even tweeted that she was going to redeem Miro's nuts
She did.
when he got home after all out.
Yep, 100%.
The commitment from both of them to this shtick of redeeming things.
After the match at All Out, Miro tweeted that Kingston's balls had been redeemed.
Yeah,
and then like you said, CJ Perry, ex Lana, retweeted and said, "When you get home, I'll redeem yours as well." Yep. Nice. Redeem these nuts. That is correct. Redeem these nuts.
And you know what? Initially, I was like, "Oh, they went with the low blow," and then I thought about it, and I'm like, "You know what? That fits so perfect." He redeemed all of the nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so good. It's so good. All right, then we come back.
That promo there between Miro and Kingston was what I like to call king shit.
Yes, and I'm hoping they got another week to get there, but I'm hoping that's a match that we see a rematch of that at Arthur Ashe. I would like to. I don't think they're going to. Maybe. I think Kingston for that pop in New York would be wonderful.
Kingston will be on the show. I know the match for Kingston. I read spoilers.
Oh, you do? You read spoilers? Well, don't spoil it for me. I'm still thinking about going to that show. It's like a 3-hour drive from me, and I have that weekend off anyway because like my sister's getting married later that weekend. So I'm thinking like, do I just say F it? Because there's still tickets available. Like you can still just buy tickets. It's not sold out.
Nike just texted me. They said, just do it.
Yeah, right. I'm going to, I think. Damn it. But not damn it. It's going to be fun.
Get it.
All right. We then get CM Punk. He comes down to the ring. Kind of in the, he talks about the match on Sunday, but he was kind of in like the John Cena hype role. He was hyping up the rest of the card. He was hyping up, which is fine. He's a legend. Like, whatever. Yep. Cool. But yeah, Punk comes out. He says that he's always been truthful with the fans, and he didn't know if he was going to have it. He didn't know if he was going to be rusty on Sunday at All Out. But you know what? He said it's like riding a violent bicycle. And he said once he was in there, it felt like it was home again. So that part was cool. He Aunt Linda, who became a central point of the show a few times, she was at ringside. Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. Yeah. So Aunt Linda, who was the woman who raised Brian Pillman, she was at ringside with Brian Pillman's daughter and Brian Pillman Jr.'s family and stuff like that. Punk kind of says that he watched The Dark Side of the Ring and she's a wonderful woman, kind of puts her over. And then he mentions his lovely wife again, which he's been doing a lot of as well, is mentioning April, the former AJ
A lot
Lee.
of April chat.
Yeah. He says that he sent her a text after the show, and the question that she had for him was, all right, cool, that was awesome. I'm glad it went great. What's next? And CM Punk is like, I honestly don't know. I figured I'd come out here and ask all of you. Who do you want to see next for CM Punk? And you got the crowd. They're in Cincy, so they're chanting Moxley. They're chanting all sorts of things. And then all of a sudden at the commentary table, you start to hear Taz get a little ruffled. And he goes, give me a mic. Taz gets up. And he says, you know what, CM Punk, I respect you. I've known you a long time, but I'm sick and tired of this love fest bullshit you got going on here. So what? You had a match. You had a match with Darby Allin, and it was a good match, and you looked good, but I am getting sick and tired of this bullshit. And he goes, and you know what? Don't ever mention any of the names of the guys in Team Taz out of your mouth. To where Punk is like, I didn't say any of them. I just asked these guys who they wanted me to see, and trust me, no one said anybody. So I thought that was kind of funny. But then they start going back and forth, and then right out the gate, CM Punk just goes, "Give me Ricky Starks," and I was like, "Yes, do that. Yeah, give him Ricky Starks." And then he goes, "Give me Hook," and I was like, "Yeah, cool. Give him Hook." Imagine that, Hook's first professional wrestling match, CM Punk.
Jesus.
You know the crowd. There are Hook stands on that social media. People, there you go. There you go. Send Hook. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And I was talking about
Pinup Boy.
Yeah, I was talking about this on Thursday on Beards. Like, that's how you know that AEW so far is really good at booking, because they have Hook, who hasn't had a match. Really, he's only been physical a handful of times by cheating, but he's just this like punk-looking kid that wears wife beaters. And
he wears tracksuit pants and wife beaters and freaking checkered vans every week he's there.
But he
And
has
they
this.
love
They love him. They love
him.
him. That he has this following. I saw the pictures of CM Punk like looking at Hook on social media where people were like, "Give it to me, give it to me." He hasn't even wrestled
Hook
yet.
just stands there like this, arms crossed. Just
with his eyes. Yeah, with the hair flopping. It's just wonderful. It's wonderful.
oh, it's amazing.
Oh man. And then he says, "Give me Hobbs." He says, "Give me all of them." And then CM Punk, which I loved, he goes, "To the four of you, beat me if you can, and survive if I let you." He uses the old Taz tagline from ECW days.
Yep.
Oh, I loved it. Piss Taz off. So that seems to be the direction they're going with Punk. He's going to be running through Team Taz next, I would assume, which I think is fine. You have the big return match against one of your big people, and then you just have him kind of get through some people he's going to beat. He's going to win all those matches. And Team Taz will be a good promo battle with him. Taz can talk. That'll be good back and forth for, the next two. They did this thing with Christian, too. It was the same formula. Christian debuted, had his first match with Kazarian, which was great. And then his first little mini feud was running through Team Taz. It's the same.
Christian didn't verse Starks because Starks was injured.
Yes. So now, and the Punk Starks match is the creme. I don't want to use that term, but is the creme de la creme of the battles with Team Taz. I mean, that's going to be, it should be special, that match. But yeah, give me CM Punk and Powerhouse Hobbs. Let me see how he deals with that big man right there. Yeah. Give me Hook. I want to see Hook. I would love Hook's first match to be against CM Punk. Why the hell not?
Yeah.
What'd you think about this segment with Punk, and how do you feel about him going through Team Taz, it looks like?
Punk and Team Taz? Cool. Let's get it all day long. This segment, not so much.
It's fair.
I think what took me out of it was that Taz was on commentary. And it was a little weird how they sort of got to that point.
Yeah.
The whole Linda Pillman stuff, that was all fine. That was, making the crowd happy, and, Punk being super babyface, whatever, that's fine. But yeah, I think what took me out of it was the fact Taz was on commentary. Oh, give me a mic. And then there was that weird second or two. And, the initial interaction was, oh, I respect you, but don't ever talk over me and blah, blah, blah. It's like, just get to it. Come on, stop dragging it out. But yeah, Punk versus Hobbs, Punk versus Hook, Punk versus Starks.
All day.
Let's go.
Yeah, all day. At this point, and again, at this point, I want to see Punk fight everybody. Just give me them all. But I think this is a good first little long, maybe short/long-term thing with Punk, is you just run through them all. That's fine. Thank you very much for the kind words, Real Tight Spot. Thank you for being here and being in the chat. We appreciate all you guys that hop in here. Guys and girls, I'm sorry, but we appreciate all you that hop in here.
Appreciate everyone equally.
Correct. Absolutely correct.
The other thing is, though, this Punk and Team Taz stuff will probably be short and sweet.
Hey, that's how Vegas rolls.
Yeah, well, apparently you found that out SummerSlam weekend. And then they'll start building Punk up to something bigger for Full Gear. Yeah, Full Gear, I would assume, unless Starks is the Full Gear program, in which case, get it.
Yeah. He said he has a major stream in 8 hours. Man, throw that link in the chat so all our friends that are in the chat can go view your stream later on today.
Absolutely.
Do that up, man. Do that up, brother. Throw that in there. Yes, I agree with you. There. It's just, I mean, CM Punk being back is just so. I even though it's been a few weeks now, I still kind of can't believe it. And it's just one of those things where I'm ready for it all.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. We then get a Santana and Ortiz vignette where they talk about after the victory over FTR last week, they've shifted their focus to the rest of the tag division, which I love because I feel like they should be. We've said this for a long time, even before, we had a few months apart here. They should be at the top of the tag team division. They should be near the titles, if not the champions. Now, Lucha Brothers just got them. Like those are well deserved. I want them to have a good run there, but there is no reason at all that Santana and Ortiz have only had, I think, one tag title match in their AEW. Like it has not been a lot. It has not been a lot.
Maybe one. Yeah.
I think maybe one. I don't know, but they said they're climbing the ranks and they're coming for the top spot because everyone knows where they belong, and I agree. And then they said that Ortiz just starts screaming that they're the best, and Santana asks anyone to prove them wrong. You and I have been big fans of these guys for a long time. For a long time. I would like to see them be champions sooner than later, and I'm all for a Lucha Brothers, Santana and Ortiz feud eventually for those belts. Give me that. But just hearing them on screen say, hey, we're focused on becoming the top tag team in this company and that's all I need. That's all I wanted to hear. Because that tells me that they're kind of separating from the Pinnacle FTR story now. And their goal is to become tag team champions. And that's where they belong and where they should be. Yep.
100%.
Tight Spot, thank you very much for the sub on YouTube. We appreciate that. We appreciate, man, that's really good stuff. So thank you. All right. We then get Ruby Soho in the back with Tony Schiavone. This ended up being very good.
Yes.
Yeah. So Ruby Soho is asked by Schiavone, hey, you just won the Casino Battle Royal. You got a title match coming up. Why would you do an open challenge? But the open challenge was answered by Jamie Hayter. Ruby says she offered the open challenge because she didn't want people to think she got lucky at All Out. She wanted to prove that she deserves that spot and she's good enough for that spot. All of a sudden, she's interrupted by Britt and crew. Britt says that Ruby is just the flavor of the week. And then Ruby starts laughing and she goes, hey, Tony, I got a story for you. Do you know that me and Britt, and I believe she called her Brittany. She said, hi, Brittany.
Hello, Brittany. Yes.
Hello, Brittany. And you could see Britt just roll her eyes like, you bitch. Bitch. But she says, we go way back. I actually am one of the people that helped Britt get into this business, which I personally did not know. I did not know that.
No, neither.
Ruby then goes through all of Britt's nicknames and says to her, she always reminds us of her nicknames because she wants everyone to remember those names because it doesn't let us remember the things that Britt is not. And then that's when Britt interrupts and she goes, oh yeah, let me tell you about my best nickname, AEW Women's World Champion. And she goes, but let's talk about your nickname, The Runaway. She goes, fitting. She goes, well, why don't you run away back to catering like you spent the last 4 years of your career? Oh man. And then she says that Hayter accepted the challenge. Hayter's going to kick her ass later. She does the DMD, takes off, and then Ruby Soho looks at Schiavone and says, I know she's your girl, but I'm going to whoop her ass. And that was it. I thought this was great. Britt Baker continues just slaying everyone. The digs that she gives, just everything. Her promos are just amazing. I'll let you have the floor here. What'd you think of this little segment between Ruby and Britt and company?
Oh, there you go. I liked it. Ruby was good. Britt's catering line, I did not.
Oh, you didn't like it?
No.
Okay. All right.
Unnecessary. Because it's not a shot at Ruby. It's a shot at the employer not using her how she should be used, basically. If it was a shot at Ruby directly, fine. Not a problem. But these are the little niggly shots that people clamor for them to cut out. And in this case, they're right. It just wasn't needed. You could say plenty of things. But she could have twisted it and said, run away back to catering because you didn't work hard enough to get out of there for 4 years. Something along those lines. Mm-hmm. But the way it was delivered, I didn't think it was necessary. But all in all, I liked that they gave you a reason as to why Ruby put out an open challenge. She didn't want to be seen as a fluke or any of that. So that made sense.
Yep.
And yeah, her and Hater, it's a fresh matchup. And
Yes.
we'll talk about it when we get there. But yeah, all in all, the segment was fun.
Yeah. All right. We then get our in-ring action. We have Powerhouse Hobbs versus Dante Martin. And I agree, Throwback. I did think it made, I think it did. And I think, her saying that she helped Britt get into the business and things like that. It shows truly how long she's been around and how long she's been doing it too.
Mm-hmm.
Which if you're a new fan or someone that doesn't know who she is, like, it gives some context to how long she's actually been really good at what she does,
Yeah.
So,
Agreed.
All right. Powerhouse Hobbs and Dante Martin.
Before we talk about this match, they did a very WWE thing here, and I don't like when companies do this.
Okay.
Hobbs and Hook had been out there since the CM Punk promo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And now they're just getting to the match. I don't like that. Don't do it. It's weird.
Yeah. They could have just walked to the back and then just re-entranced. I think that would have been.
Hobbs came out to Punk's music, and then we come back from these promos. They're playing his music, and he's standing in the ring like a dog.
He's like, he's been out there for 20 minutes.
Oh, silly.
All in all, I thought this match was pretty good. I thought Dante Martin is amazing. He's just amazing. That tag match that he was a part of, that 6-man or 8-man from like a month ago or 3 weeks ago, where it was really like a showcase for him. I felt like I was against the Elite, and I thought that match made him a star. Like, I thought that match made him like, wow. Like, he was just, it was such a showcase for him.
He's been doing, not that I watch the shows in their entirety all the time, but he's been doing some real solid work on the dark shows.
Yeah.
For weeks. Let's not forget he was employed as a tag team guy.
Oh yeah. And then an injury, but that's how.
This is the other thing that I've liked so far about AEW is when your partner's on the shelf.
Yeah, you're not on the shelf.
They still utilize you.
Yes.
They're not just, they're on the shelf, so we're going to put you both on the shelf. That's silliness. And this is how they're finding talents. Like, I think Bowens had a couple of singles matches when Caster was away for his indiscretion.
Yep.
I think Caster did some singles stuff when Bowens was injured.
Yep.
Like, this is how you find out about guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like that they're doing that with Dante now.
Yep, I agree. I thought this match was solid. Hobbs at the beginning clearly using his size advantage and power advantage, which obviously makes sense because Dante is much littler than Hobbs. But Martin got his stuff in later. He showed some of his agility and his high flying. Hobbs does get the win at the end. But all in all, I thought for a beginning to middle of the card match where this is what AEW does. They put all their matches, no matter where it just all fits. It's all entertaining. What did you think of the match between Hobbs and Martin? What stuck out to you in this match?
This was super. I thought this was a super fun match. It was, yeah, you're right. For the middle of a show, towards the end of the first hour, it was just super fun. It was. It didn't drag. It flowed. Hobbs catching Martin on the outside and holding his feet against the ropes and slamming him into the post just shows, good feat of strength by Hobbs, and that was a good spot. And then towards, down the stretch, Dante got his stuff in with his bouncing off the ropes and flips and all that sort of cool stuff. So yeah, super fun match. Dante loses nothing upon losing. Hobbs keeps building momentum. I think he's won 6 on the bounce, and I think he's ranked number 2.
Yes, number 2. Which is good.
Yeah, absolutely good.
Yeah.
I think he might have got his bell rung a little bit.
With one of those kicks. With one of those. Even Taz said it on commentary. Like, I think Martin might have hit him with one of those. It looked like he was a little dazed.
I don't know if the spine buster was meant to be the end of the match. I think they might have called it there and said, just cut it there.
Yeah, be safe than sorry.
But I don't mind that. I don't mind him winning these sort of matches with the spine buster.
I agree.
You don't always have to win with your big finisher in these sort of matches.
And it also creates
Uncertainty.
And I know we've talked about it too, but like, and again, this is in a different company, but if Sami Zayn were to win a couple matches with the Blue Thunder Bomb, then when he hits the Blue Thunder Bomb in the next match, as a fan, you're like, oh, this could end this match.
Yeah,
it could,
or in a
happened
big
before.
match. Yes. Or a big title match. He hits it 1, 2. Oh, so close.
Exactly. And it's like, it's good occasionally. Yeah, you can have a submission. Some people have had finishing moves where they get pinfall victories and then submissions. They've had both. That's cool. Yeah. I like that. But it's okay to win. It's okay to win other matches with your other moves because it creates doubt and it creates more exciting moments in future matches because that match could end the match. But if you're just waiting for the finisher and like, well, he's not going to win until he hits the finisher. Okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, the matches can be exciting, but I think it just creates more, you had the word, I'm drawing a blank, but it creates more excitement or, uncertainty. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Especially when you're a big guy like Hobbs and you're wrestling a smaller guy like Dante, something like a spine buster, which was executed brilliantly. It was high.
Oh, yeah. Hobbs has a great one.
And it looks amazing. It looks like it hurts. So he should be winning these sort of matches with the spinebuster. And you know what? He doesn't always have to hit town business. So keep that for your Brian Cage matches and those sort of bigger names, if you will. But all in all, this was a fun match. I thought the first hour, I think they did a really good job of accentuating the lesser knowns. Like you had Malachi Black, but Dustin Rhodes isn't on Dynamite every week.
Yeah.
You had, some promos hyping up, upcoming stuff or, you had CM Punk out there, but he was doing things with, Hobbs and talking about Stark and Hook and Team Taz and all that sort of stuff, lesser knowns. And this Hobbs and Dante Martin match highlighted the lesser known. The first hour was highlighted by the lesser knowns, and that is saying something coming off a fallout from a massive pay-per-view.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Right after this match ends, we hear a voice, and that is of Dan Lambert's. He's up there with the Men of the Year, Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. He congrats AEW for Punk, Bryan, Cole, and all the other 5'9" guys that they brought in. He takes a dig on how small the roster is, how the fans are simple. He takes a dig at Judas. And he says, Tony Khan even convinced all the fans how great AEW was to sing one of the worst songs he's ever heard in his life over and over again. He says that AEW really only has 2 real men working for them, and it's Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. And he challenges anyone in the back to come shut them up before they continue to say their truths, which will burn AEW to the ground. Your opinion of Mr. Lambert and American Top Team? I love Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. Ethan Page, I think that guy's a future multi-time, amazing. But what'd you think of Dan Lambert? What do you think about his presentation? It seems like we're going to be getting him. This is part of the shtick now. So, what do you think of him? What do you think of the presentation? And what do you think of him being teamed up with the Men of the Year?
It's different, and I love Dan Lambert and American Top Team being an MMA fan, especially with Jorge Masvidal there. Masvidal's he's exactly like Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. He's so far out there, it's just not funny. And he can back it up. You talk shit to him, and it's all right. He'll smack you in the mouth. That's fine. And that's what American Top Team are all about. So Page and Sky fit in perfectly with that dynamic. I just need to see them in action more.
Yeah, like wrestle. Yeah, and I would like to see them wrestle more.
It's fine for Lambert to talk his shit, but come to the ring with them, talk their shit, and win a match.
Yeah.
And then another one, and then another one, and another one. If they won the tag titles, how much shit could Lambert talk? As much as he likes, because his team's the best.
Yeah.
And American Top Team are all about championships. Like Nunez fights out of there. She's arguably the greatest women's mixed martial artist ever.
Mm-hmm.
She surpassed Ronda long ago.
Oh yeah.
She surpassed Cyborg by knocking her out. You know, they breed champions out of that gym. So if that's the route they're headed, cool. But let's see it in the ring.
Yeah, I would like to definitely see them. And I don't know if they're on Dark or Elevation a lot. I'm not a regular viewer of those shows, but I definitely would like.
A couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I would like to see them more on Dynamite or Rampage and just start ramping up the victories. So, you know, wherever they're going, they're going.
Yeah.
All right. We get the MJF promo now. Actually, real quick before that, they showed some highlights from the 10-man opener at All Out on the pre-show. Matt Hardy is flipping out backstage saying that he's going to shave Orange Cassidy's hair off. Then they cut to Orange Cassidy, and Chucky whispers in his ear, and Orange Cassidy goes, "Oh, Matt Hardy wants to cut my hair off? Whatever." All right, cool. And that was it. Not much to add to it, but just Orange Cassidy, whatever.
Going back to all that buy-in 10-man tag was a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
It was really a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was very good. Very, very good.
But going back to this promo, why is Matt Hardy and OC still a thing?
I don't know. No.
Why is Matt Hardy in so many feuds? Why can't he just manage for a while?
I think that's the way they should. I mean, he clearly still wants to wrestle. He clearly still can,
which is fine. But he's not as good as he once was. And I think in a managerial role that only could, when he's HFO feuds with someone, he could be like, all right, you guys aren't getting it done. I'm the final boss here. I'll step in. Yeah. Rather than just wanting to cut OC's hair because it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
But OC's whatever.
Whatever. Yeah,
first class.
Oh, really. Tremendous.
He doesn't care. That's hair. It'll grow back. Whatever.
Yeah, whatever. All right. We got this MJF promo.
Yes.
All right. Let's dive into it. There's a lot here, so I'll just run through it. He comes out. Obviously, the "you tapped out" chants. Love it. Love it. He says he was robbed at All Out. He says he beat Jericho 3 times prior to that match, and he beat him a 4th clean in the ring. And the match was rescheduled due to extreme bias. He goes, because everyone's jealous because they want to be MJF. He then
just before you continue, just going back, there's one match I didn't touch on. That match was extremely good.
Yep.
And while I didn't agree with the result,
I agree.
I'm glad that he did lose, that they're going the route of his only 2 singles losses have been controversial.
Mm-hmm. I
like that's the route they're going.
Yep. I agree. Yeah, it's a smart way to go. And especially his only 2 losses are also against the first 2 AEW World Champions as well. And they both needed to cheat, not break the rules to beat him. Jericho then proceeds to shit all over Cincinnati for a little bit. He calls Cincinnati Shit-Cincinnati. I like that one. He says Cincy is the biggest dumpster fire in the world. And then he goes off and says that everything in this, they call it the Midwest for a reason because everything in this city is mid. Mentions Skyline Chili, which is like the favorite meal of Cincinnati. He says mid. Mentions the Cincinnati Reds baseball team, mid. And he
says, that actually right? Do they suck?
They've been all right recently. They got some good young talent, but they're not. Yeah. Okay. And then he says every single person who lives here is mid. And he goes, I would love any of you to try to jump the rail right now so I could beat the crap out of all of you in this garbage town. He then addresses Aunt Linda. And he goes, don't you look at me, sweetheart. I'll knock your teeth right down your throat. This is like a 75-year-old woman, by the way, that he's saying this to. And then Brian Pillman's daughter, a.k.a. Brian Pillman Jr.'s sister, is also there, and she's pregnant. And he calls her 16 and pregnant.
Heavily pregnant.
Yes, heavily, like had a baby the next day, heavily pregnant. Calls her 16 and pregnant. He calls her Roseanne. He then walks out to get in her face. And then he gives her the opportunity to speak. And she says, I'll have you know that I am Cincinnati owns Brian Pillman's daughter. And MJF goes, well, that would certainly explain your vile looks. Oh. And then at that moment, Brian Pillman Jr. Yeah, it's incredible. And then at that moment, Brian Pillman Jr. comes out. He's wearing a Bengals jersey, hometown hero. He gets a hero's welcome. He says, he goes, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, or should I call you Maxwell Jerkoff Friedman? He goes, Cincy is a city that breeds badasses like Brian Pillman Sr. and John Moxley. And that's the point where MJF goes, oh, and he mentions Brian Pillman Jr.'s drug-addicted mother, and her name is Melanie, but MJF calls her Methany. God. So then Pillman Jr. storms the ring, and Wardlow kind of steps in between. And then MJF, this is like the second or third time he's done this recently. And I think this is really the next big feud for MJF, I believe, when they get there. But he taps Wardlow on the back, and he goes, oh, hey, Wardlow, are you going to help me like you did this Sunday? And Wardlow kind of gives him a look, and the crowd's like, oh, shit. And he goes, yeah, why don't you go stand in the corner and do what you do best and look pretty? And Wardlow's face, he just is kind of like, I'll fucking ruin you. Like, I can ruin you. You know that? But whatever. And he goes to the corner, and then MJF says, you know, your drug-addicted mother could have gave birth to 500 mid-rate wrestlers, but she ended up giving birth to you. And when it came to you, she should have done what she did to the rest, and that is swallow. Yeah. And then, man. So then he says something like he's going to do what he wishes Pillman Jr.'s mother did to him and abort. And then Brian takes him out, starts attacking him. Wardlow waits a good 5 seconds or so before he gets involved. He's kind of like, no, you deserve this, you asshole. Like, you take it a little bit. Then Wardlow gets involved. Pillman kind of escapes Wardlow, does a little bit more attacking on MJF. We then get Griff Garrison run down. And he's immediately met with a monster of a clothesline by Wardlow. A monster of a clothesline. And then MJF proceeds to hit him in the face with the ring on. And that is basically that. So it looks like, you know, we might get to be a tag match coming down the line. We know we're going to get another match differently, but it looks like maybe there'll be a Varsity Blondes versus Wardlow and MJF tag match down the line. We find out
that's not the Arthur Ashe.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's where I thought they were going, and we can talk about the later thing now because it all wraps into one kind of. But later on, we see Griff Garrison and Pillman in the trainer's room, and Pillman says that he talked to Tony Khan, and at Arthur Ashe in a few weeks, he's going to have a one-on-one match with MJF, and that's a big spot for Brian Pillman Jr. Good for him. Yeah, that's a big spot. Against that guy, at MJF, a top guy like that, at that show, that's a big spot. Good for him. Yeah, and that's how this segment ended. So it looked like MJF and Pillman getting a little mini feud here. What'd you think of the promo? I mean, all right, and I know you were saying you were waiting for me. To me, and I know the world we live in, I get it. This is a old school heel promo. Did some things probably cross? Maybe the abort line, maybe the swallow, maybe. But MJF's a dick. This has been his character since day one that we've seen him. We know who he is. We know he's this guy. Mm-hmm. I think it fits the character. It fits the role. He is the ultimate heel. He is the ultimate asshole. And what he did on Wednesday night just proved that again, that he doesn't care. He said it in the promo. I mean, you guys say, oh, you marks, you say like, oh, you're just doing it for the cheap heat and blah, blah, blah. He goes, no. I mean every word that I say. I mean every word that I say. And that's been who MJF is from day one. I had no problems with this promo. I could see why a few things people would be like, maybe you could have said something else. And I don't necessarily disagree. But for me, it was no harm, no foul for me. I thought it just fits what MJF is, and I loved it. And I think it's a good spot for Pillman. Good for that kid. Yeah, I was all on board with this. I am all on board with this. Yeah. I don't know your opinions.
Yeah, look, the promo, like, people probably asked me why I was okay with this and didn't like Max Caster's rap on Dark, those months ago. And the difference is MJF has the runs on the board, and I would trust MJF more than Max Caster to do the professional things and have this all ticked off with the appropriate people beforehand. This would have been run past Linda, past Pillman's sister, past Pillman himself, past TK,
Mm-hmm.
he would have said, look, I'm going to blur the lines, potentially maybe cross it a touch. Just letting you know that this crowd's going to get, a bit a bit edgy.
Yeah.
Okay. But he's earned that trust.
Agreed.
That's why for me, I didn't have a problem with this. People say, oh, it's cheap heel rubbish. In wrestling, there are people, I've long said Jay White is the greatest heel in professional wrestling at the moment. Granted, COVID has taken him away from his wheelhouse, but his backstage promos in New Japan, excuse the pun, but they're elite. They're next level.
Yeah.
But all in all, we know Jay White as a person is a fantastic human being.
Mm-hmm.
We can't say that definitively about Max Jacob Friedman because
he is MJF.
He lives the gimmick.
Yes,
we and people live the gimmick with him. Like you hear people talk, his peers talk about him, and they're like, "No, he's an asshole." But is that what they truly believe, or is he actually an asshole?
Yeah.
Like we don't know if they're living the gimmick with him or what. We just don't know, and that's what makes him so good and why these things work.
Yep.
Because you cannot definitively say that it's just a character, because this could actually be who MJF is.
Mm-hmm.
But you hear TK talk about him. TK says no, he's a fantastic role model, blah blah blah, and he obviously is. But he blurs that line so much that you just do not know.
Yeah.
But as for what he said, I agree with you. Did some things blur / cross the line? Absolutely.
Yeah. Calling his mom Methany, the abortion joke, I would
things.
understand people not feeling great about those,
I agreed.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. I personally had no problem with it. I understand if people did. Totally understand if people did. And I wouldn't try and persuade them otherwise. But me personally, no problem with it.
Yeah.
The MJF and Wardlow teasers, the bigger teasers seem to come 12 months apart on or around All Out.
Yeah.
They teased a bit of a confrontation before his Moxley match at All Out last year. And they've done it again this year, just after All Out. Whether that culminates with them wrestling each other at All Out next year, but Wardlow is going to be a monster babyface.
Oh, yeah, he's going to be a monster star as well. That guy's got it all. That guy's got it all.
Yep.
All right, that leads into Jamie Hayter versus Ruby Soho. I didn't know much about Jamie Hayter, and we're going to talk about her when we get into Rampage after this as well. She rules.
She's gorgeous.
Yeah. She's very good looking, very well.
Oh,
yeah. Very strong, very well put together. She also rules. This match specifically, and the part of the 6-man tag. The 6-woman tag might be.
Yeah.
On Rampage, which we'll get into. She is awesome. And that's 2 small snippets for me. Like, I haven't seen a ton of her stuff, but yeah, I'm all in on her. I thought she carried that 6-woman tag. And we'll get to it. I thought she carried it.
Someone is good and a big deal when they can go to Stardom and rule.
Yeah. See, I don't know. I know what Stardom
her
is.
And B Priestley for a period did that.
Yeah, I have never watched Stardom.
Neither have I, but everything you read,
exactly.
They were champions there. They were top dogs there. It wasn't for a huge period, but to get to that point in the greatest all women's promotion in the world, you got to be doing something right.
Oh yeah. All right. I'll let you. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. No, go.
No, but just to have her on AEW when B went to NXT UK, that's a huge feather in the cap, because Jamie's going to be very good for a long time.
Definitely. I'll let you take the lead here. What'd you think of this match with Ruby Soho and Jamie Hayter? And there was some stuff at the end of the match that we'll discuss, but I want your opinions of what you thought about this match.
I love this match. I thought it was good. It wasn't perfect by any stretch, but it's a fresh match. Every time Hayter's been on TV, just in any role, she's just nailed it.
Mm-hmm.
She's built strong. She's strong in the ring. She sells her ass off for her opponents, which again will go. I'll touch on in the Rampage stuff, but this match was good. Ruby looks solid. She just looks happy. She just looks like she is enjoying herself again, and that leads to quality in-ring stuff. Hayter dominated for the majority, so her getting pinned, she doesn't lose anything from it.
It was like it was a Pele kick out of nowhere too, so they kind of played it off like she can hit it at any time, like kind of anywhere.
Yeah, and that's you dominate the number one contender and then lose with a lucky shot, so to speak. You lose nothing, but Hayter's going to be fine. Ruby is very good. Both these ladies are so good. I look forward to seeing more from both of them regularly, often, and all the time.
Yep. And then at the end of this match, after Ruby gets the quick victory, she is then attacked from behind by Britt Baker and Rebel. And then Riho runs down to the ring and she fights him off a little bit before Hayter gives her she has like this,
Uranagi backbreaker.
Oh my God. Amazing. She did that. She did it to Ruby in the match too, but that's a cool looking move. And then Statlander comes out with a chair in hand and she runs off the 3. And then that's the 6-woman tag you're going to get that we'll talk about in a little bit on Rampage was Statlander, Riho, and Ruby against Britt, Rebel, and Jamie Hayter. You can just see the sorry to cut you off. You can see the love the women's locker room has for each other. Oh yeah.
It's so infectious.
Yeah. And that is now's the time, guys. You had your Casino Battle Royal. You showed off the talent and how many talented women you have on your roster. Now's the time. We need to start seeing more than one segment, more than one match. Now's the time. And you if they book that correctly and they treat that with as much focus as they treat the men, they could arguably have the best women's division and roster in the world.
Sky's the limit.
Yeah. But now's the time. I think you got to jump on it, and it's so far so pretty good. I would have liked more than one women's match on Dynamite, but still, the match we got was really, really good, and we got one on Rampage too. So
at minimum, we need 2 on Dynamite plus probably a promo segment.
Yes,
and then 1 on Rampage each week.
I agree.
And then
I feel like that's at minimum.
And then the plethora that they've been having on Dark and Elevation and whatnot, keep that up. Just keep it coming. Just I think there's 8 on this week's Elevation matches in total. I think 4 or 3 of them are women's matches. Plus you got Bunny accompanying Butcher and Blade. So keep that up. Add an extra match on Dynamite. Minimum 1 a week on Rampage. Let it flourish.
Yep. I think that's what you got to do. We then get a small vignette that apparently we are getting Ricky Starks and Brian Cage. We're running it back one more time. All right. Cool. Hopefully this is the last. I thought it should have probably be over by now, and Cage could be doing different things.
So does he and his wife apparently.
Yes, they have been very vocal on the social medias of their their booking. He does. Neither of them seem to be too happy with the booking of Brian Cage so far, or at least recently.
Yes.
We then get and this was quick, but I think the story of this wasn't really so much the match. The story is what looks to be, hopefully not, but what looks to be the dissension in the Dark Order. But we have a trios match. It is Sean Spears and FTR versus the Dark Order, who were Uno, Stu Grayson, and Johnny Hungy. But as they're coming down to the ring, we see an interview from earlier in the day where Alex Marvez is asking Uno about the dissension and like the disagreements and such. And right as Uno starts talking, they all just start yelling at each other. So clearly still issues. And then we get Anna Jay and Ty Conti who show up. And Anna Jay really kind of stepping in the front here, which I liked. Stepping in the front, just saying, hey, guys, I'm tired of this shit. I've been gone for a while, but I'm back, and I'm tired of it. We are a team. We are a family. You guys need to figure it out because I'm done with it. And she leaves, and that was it. I thought it was good. I'm glad they're making her look like she's kind of like, not the leader, but she's kind of like stepping in front, just going, no.
She's the big sister.
Yeah, exactly. We get this match. This was a quick match. This was like under 6 minutes. Like this was a real quick match. But I thought it was still I thought it was still pretty solid, but it was quick. The Pinnacle wins. Spears gets the pinfall with his like running Death Valley driver of sorts, the running Spicoli driver there. And then we see at the end more fighting, and it got physical. It got physical here. Uno kind of picks up John Silva, who took the pin, which I love John Silva. But anyway, they get into a shoving match. Stu Grayson basically like just knocks Silva off his feet. He's then speared by Five, who's throwing punches, and it turns into a melee of sorts. And then you see Ty Conti and Anna Jay kind of midway down the ramp, just looking disgusted. And Stu is kind of yelling at Anna Jay, like, what are we doing? Like, what's going on? What are you standing up there for? And Anna Jay's just like, you guys suck. Like, you got to figure this out. This is bullshit. What'd you think of the quick match? And what do you think about the Dark Order? What's happening there? What do you think was happening with the Dark Order?
The match itself was fine. It was short, sharp. What it was. Any excuse to see FTR on my screen is fine. And I'm a Spears fan too. I like Sean Spears. I reckon he's quality. The Dark Order stuff, I still maintain that Hangman will come back and be the one to ship them all up into shape, and they'll be by his side when he defeats Kenny at Full Gear or Revolution or whatever it is. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I still maintain that Hangman will come back and say, Uno and that bunch, Dark Order White were just trying to keep just trying to respect my wishes, rah, rah, rah. Yeah. But Dark Order Wolfpack over here would, being wankers and wanted to do what I didn't want them to do, blah, blah, blah. So I still maintain. And Tim, it just might be.
So I said this on one of the shows I was on last week. I think it was with Josh. I said, and again, it might not be the full Dark Order. I don't know, but I think that is a potential with Bray Wyatt. But I think they would have to go evil. They would have to go back to being evil Dark Order with Bray Wyatt, and Bray Wyatt's shtick could
cult type Dark Order. Yeah.
Yes, but like not like cult. You could be like. I would, if they do bring in Bray Wyatt and Bray Wyatt does end up being the leader, or I'm assuming they'll call him Wyndham Rotunda, whatever they're going to call him. If he ends up being the leader of the Dark Order, I think the story that they should do is he's here to finish what his brother Brody Lee started. That would be the only time I would, other than Hangman being a leader type.
Yeah, so to speak.
Yeah.
Like Hangman would just be their alpha to the rest of their omega, pardon the pun. But yeah, if Wyndham came in and was just carrying out Brody's legacy or vision of the Dark Order as an exalted leader, he is the only person that I would be happy with. And if that also included bringing former Eric Rowan back, if Redbeard, that coincided with that.
Redbeard.
Yeah, because he was on the tribute show and he seemed like a semi-logical fit with what was going on.
Yep.
I wouldn't be opposed to that either. But I trust that if Wyndham was the one to come in and do the role, I trust that his genius would do it justice, and they wouldn't shit the bed with it, basically. I think that would be a logical route, and if that's how they choose to go, then fine. But I personally would prefer Hangman to be the one to come back, say, guys, we got to get on the same page. We have fun and hang out and do our stuff. We're formidable. I want you guys by my side when I beat Kenny Omega and become world champion, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I agree. And then Tim says, they can still be dark and funny. And yes, I agree. He will be there to finish what Brody started. I could see Bray bending the knee to Brody's son and asking permission to finish what Brody started. Yeah, I think definitely involving -1. If that were to happen, that would be a cool little thing as well. Kind of like, hey, me and your dad have a history, clearly. It's my duty to do what to finish what he started type thing. Like, let me do that. Like, I think that would be a cool thing that they could do for sure.
I'm not going to lie. What Tim said, that rules.
Yes, it does. It does. That's a good idea. It's a good idea. All right, cool. So then we get a little showcase on the Casino Battle Royal where they kind of they intertwine kind of the feuds that they built in the Battle Royal. I thought it was good. I don't think there's a ton to talk about, but like Ty and Anna Jay versus Penelope and Bunny, they talked about. Jade Cargill and Nyla, they talked about, which when that match happens, I am excited for that match. And then Thunder Rosa ends it out saying that she was disappointed that she lost, but it's okay because she knows she's going to eventually get what she deserves, and that is the AEW Women's Championship. I thought that was solid. We then get Tully backstage with Tony Schiavone. He starts off by saying, he just watched 3 stars dismantle the Dark Order out there, and he goes, what you saw out there was leadership. You saw leadership by me out there, and he starts talking about Sting. And he says, that, oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. I just lost my mind here. So he starts talking about Sting, and he says that Sting is on the coattails of Darby, and he's trying to, ride the coattails like he used to do back in the day. And he says that next week he talks to Tony. He wants Spears versus Darby on Dynamite. And he says, and soon it'll be Sting versus Tully one more time. And that's how that vignette ended, or the interview ended. What'd you think of this Tully segment here? And what do you think about Tully and Sting?
Spears and Darby, first off, I am personally excited for that because, as I said, Spears I'm a fan of, and Darby I'm a fan of. So yeah, let's get it. Tully versus Sting in 2021/2022. No thanks. No, not for me. No thanks.
Yeah.
No, let's move on from that.
I would agree. All right. So, I mean, and Tim says Tully versus Sting will still be better than anything Goldberg. You're probably not wrong there. You're probably not wrong.
Granted, yes, and I don't want to see anything Goldberg in 21 or 22 either. So that tells you where I'm at with that.
Oh no. I know we talked about the Varsity Blondes thing earlier in the trainer's room, but what did happen towards the end of that was Max Caster and the Acclaim showed up, and Max Caster said, hey, great news about your match, but I also talked to Tony Khan, and we're fighting on Rampage. So that's what went there.
That worked on 2 levels. That was a continuation of Max's rap to Julia, getting him suspended, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And second, Max Caster has this unholy obsession with MJF on Twitter.
Yeah.
So it worked in that respect too. So it was a good choice of opponents for BPJ.
I agree. All right. We then get the Elite and this segment here. So they come down. Don Callis grabs the mic. He praises Kenny Omega, who was announced earlier in the day as the #1 wrestler on the PWI 500. And then he puts over the match at All Out. He puts over how great Tully versus Sting could be a fun pre-show match gimmick that they never actually wrestle. Yeah, there's a history part of it that is cool. And we've seen Tully in a 6-man with FTR. He's wrestled. Sting has wrestled. I wouldn't want to see the one-on-one match with 2 dudes in their 50s and 60s wrestling, but if you intertwine them with other people and they're part of a bigger match, but they're actually in it and they get their little stare down / physical, cool, whatever.
If it's Spears and Tully versus Sting and Darby,
yeah, I'm cool with that.
On a Dynamite or something.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. No worries.
Yeah, it is what it is.
I don't need to see Sting versus Tully one-on-one potentially at a pay-per-view because that's as ludicrous as Paul White versus QT Marshall.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so then we get back to the Elite. So Callis puts over Omega, and he even puts over the Young Bucks, even in the losing effort. He says they're the best tag team in the world. They proved it. Yes, they didn't win, but they showed just how damn good they are. One side note, that ridiculous nose ring that Nick Jackson was wearing, unbelievable. I
don't even know. Is that septum ring real or is it fake?
No, I don't think. It's got to be fake. It's got to be. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know, but he had the
bleached his Fu
chain.
Manchu here.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's doing.
And he had
He's
the
got one
chain
going
from
from
the
here.
nose.
Oh my god.
Jeez Louise.
He has fucks and he's giving 0 of them.
Exactly. I mean, both of those guys with their outfits and just the way they've carried themselves, like amazing.
Ridiculous.
They then get the mic and they immediately call out Adam Cole. Adam Cole comes down to the ring. He says, "It's story time with Adam Cole, baby." He goes, "But first," and I loved this. He gets right in Tony Schiavone's face. Did you not like it? Did you not like it? He gets right in Schiavone's face and he goes, "Hey, I know you're close with Britt Baker, but if you even look at her wrong, I will slap those glasses off your face and I will whoop your ass. Now get the hell out of my ring, nerd." The nerd part is like, bro, we're all wrestling fans. We're all nerds. I don't know why you call him a nerd, but like whatever. But everyone knows that him and Britt Baker are together, and I just thought that's just
that
cheap.
part of it. I don't mind.
Yeah,
but they've never ever insinuated that Tony and Britt's relationship is anything that close to resembling an infatuation or a sexual.
That's fair. I just took it as like Adam Cole's like, who's this old man trying to be close with my girl?
Yeah, it was unnecessary. I didn't like it.
Yeah. I thought it was funny.
I didn't like it. No, I hated it.
That's fair.
I just thought it was cheap.
Yeah. I mean, I don't get a problem. Yeah, that's the good thing about wrestling, man. Is we all dig and we all, He says that AEW is the greatest wrestling company in the world, and it is because of the Elite. He said, that's a good call out by Tim. He said, no, it is cheapy, but it does show maybe a potential Cole weakness, maybe down the line if they play it up that way.
Fair.
That could be fair. That's fair. He says, everyone that buys a ticket, everyone in the back, they're all there because of the Elite. He says he knows he's new to AEW, but he's been Elite for a very, very long time. Says for the last 14 years, he's won championships and headlined and proved that he is a top guy that could carry any company. And he says the Elite is now complete. And next week he will be making his in-ring debut on Dynamite. Omega then takes the mic and he says it's time for a celebration, and a celebration is in order. But one thing he hates is interruptions. And lo and behold, the second he says that, Bryan Danielson. Yes. And I loved how it said the American Dragon on there. So he's going back by the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. He comes out. Omega is pissed. And Omega goes, you know what? I'm tired of this. He goes, guys, can you clear the room? He goes, give me the ring. I just got to deal with this by myself. Get out of here. The Elite leaves the ring. And we get Bryan Danielson. How many times am I going to do that? 1,000. We get Bryan Danielson in the ring, face to face with Kenny Omega. Man, what a visual. What a visual. It was surreal. Even before they started talking, it was just like, look at this. These two. The crowd doing the yes chants.
I had movement.
Yeah, I did too. The crowd doing the yes chants before they even started talking with each other. Like, it's something that a lot of, people have been pining for a while, but we never thought we'd actually have the chance to see it. It was just a very, very cool visual.
It's one of those dare to dream moments, and here we are.
Yep. And Omega starts to talk, and Bryan grabs the mic out of his hand, and he asks the crowd if they want to see Bryan Danielson fight Kenny Omega, to which the crowd loses their mind, as did I on my couch. And Omega says, it doesn't work like that here. And Bryan says, all right, well, you're the greatest wrestler who ever lived. You said nobody's on your level. And he goes, you want my opinion? He goes, I think you're afraid to accept this match because you know that I'm better than you. You know that I'm going to kick your head in, and you know that you're not on my level. Mm-hmm. Omega then takes off the jacket, looks like he's getting a little frustrated, and he goes after Bryan, and Bryan turns him and looks like he's about to put on the label lock, the yes lock, and that's when the Elite comes in. They start taking out Bryan, and then we get Jurassic Express, Frankie Kazarian, and Christian coming down, kind of evening the odds. and the Elite run off, and poor Brandon Cutler is left in the, as it would be Brandon Cutler, obviously. He's left in the ring, and he takes the flying knee from Daniel Bryan. Oh, damn it. From Bryan Danielson. I told you 1,000 times. It's happened 1,000 times. From Bryan Danielson. And that is how we ended this segment. Your thoughts, your feelings. I know you said you had movement, but your thoughts, your feelings about this whole Elite Bryan Danielson segment.
Adam Cole is probably he's probably the most over person on the roster at the moment. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
The reaction he gets when he comes out, that theme music bangs so damn hard.
Very good. Very good.
Ooh, so hard. And the Adam Cole baby shtick, crowd eats it up. Heel, face, imaginary unicorn taking a piss in the corner. It doesn't matter. He's, the reaction he garners is ridiculous. As I said, the Britt Baker portion wasn't for me, but if they use it as a potential weakness or something down the line, like Tim said, then cool. Then I'm all for it. Hearing Cole and Bryan say the words professional wrestler instead of sports entertainer is amazing.
Yeah.
I will never, ever get sick of hearing it. And I hope I never have to hear the alternative ever again from these two men. Adam Cole versus who we know is now Frankie Kazarian next week. Yes, please.
Yep.
That's all for that. In respect to Danielson and Omega, yes, there was movement. Not much, but there was very small movement. I liked how Kenny said that doesn't work that way here. But Danielson basically said, oh, okay, so you're scared to fight me then. He's baiting the champ in. Whether it ends up being a championship program or a non-title program or whatever, I don't know. But I liked that that's how they're going to sort of get around it, so to speak. I also like the fact of seemingly they're not going to muck around in giving it to us.
Yes.
They could go the same route they went with Christian. Christian and Omega had a face-to-face straight off the bat when Christian came in, but Bryan's been physical with Omega and his crew. So it seems to be that they're going that route from the start. Yes, it pisses on the rankings, but you know what? It's a match that everyone's wanted for so fucking long. I don't care about the rankings if that's the case. Just give me.
And here's one of the things, like obviously Omega is the champion, but you could do something where you go, okay, well, the rankings matter for the championship, so I'll fight you, but it's not for the title.
Yeah.
And then you get that match where it's like, holy crap, Kenny Omega's fighting Bryan Danielson, but it's not for the title. Then it makes it
more but it's more unpredictable too, because if it's for the title, you just assume Omega's winning.
Yep.
If it's non-title,
and then if Danielson wins, then he, if you beat the champion, you got to be. That's a good way to start. And then Bryan needs to go through some of the rest of the roster, and then eventually you get to the point where it's
him and Omega again,
exactly for the title,
him and Hangman or whatever,
whoever it is. I think you could have this match be Bryan's first match, and it doesn't have to be for the title. You know what I mean? You can just.
I would have them at Arthur Ashe non-title.
Yeah, why not? Like if Danielson pisses off Omega again next week, and then he kind of just snaps and goes, "All right, next week, Arthur Ashe, we're fighting, but not for the title, but we're fighting." Okay,
yeah,
that's a great main event, title or not. Please, definitely be making the drive down there now. Exactly. All right. Speaking of main events, we do get to the main event of the evening on Dynamite, which was Minoru Suzuki up against Jon Moxley. I know earlier on you mentioned pacing, and I said, we're going to talk about it, but it seemed like some of the timing was off because with Minoru Suzuki's theme song, they cut it off.
You don't ever cut off Kaze ni Nare. Never, ever.
Yeah, they cut it off before the big moment.
That's a criminal offense.
Yeah. And then Moxley's entrance, I thought, went a bit long, too. Like, I understand it was the hometown Cincinnati. Like, I get it. But you couldn't have shaved off.
Always long.
I know, but you couldn't have shaved off like 10 or 15 seconds of it to get to the point of the Suzuki song where the crowd can scream what they want to scream, It's
Suzuki wasn't happy.
No. And they're running. He's going to be back on Dynamite next week as well in a tag match. And I think the reason why is because I don't think he was happy. and they were like, okay, we'll do you right.
Oh,
And
is he in action this week?
yeah, it's him and Lance Archer. They're going to be, because they're Suzuki Gun, right? Is that what they are in New Japan?
Suzuki Gun, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. They're going to be in a tag match. I honestly forget who they're fighting, but they did announce that he's going to be, it's either Dynamite or Rampage, but he's going to be on AEW television again this week in a tag match with Archer against people I'm drawing a blank on. I'm not remembering, but yeah. So that's good. At least maybe they can do right by the entrance and by that moment with that match too. But all in all, I thought this match, the commercial killed it again. It happens, but like,
I can't say anything about the commercial.
Yeah. In general, I thought, a lot of strikes, a lot of physicality, what you expected. Suzuki got a nasty cut above his eye where he was bleeding everywhere towards the end of the match.
Just another day for him.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, nothing he's not used to. But it was a lot of
7
blood.
stitches to close that bad boy up.
Yeah, it was a lot of blood. Yeah, I mean, I the match was shorter than I thought it would be. It was
rushed.
Yeah, it felt rushed at times. It felt like they maybe had some stuff they wanted to do that they probably didn't have time to do. It ended quite abruptly, in my opinion. And I know you had said something about the paradigm shift, this one specifically, but I know you had said something in general on the social media. So I'll kind of let you have the floor here and finish us up with Dynamite at least. What did you think about Minoru Suzuki on AEW? And what did you think of the main event match with Jon Moxley?
I know they were cut for time, but you don't ever cut off Kaze Ninare. Ever, 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 ever. That's a criminal offense in Japan if you do that.
Yeah.
Murder Grandpa will kill you. Yeah, but this match was it was solid for how short it was. But you know what? I am always going to judge this harshly because I've seen them battle in Japan before for 20 to 25 minutes and just beat the shit out of each other. And it ruled.
Yep.
So I know if given time, these two can produce quality. Was this it? No. Was this a fun, short TV main event? Sure. If this was two guys that were permanent AEW guys, you know what? It'd be a solid, fun TV main event. But it's the fact that you've got a guy coming in from a foreign country.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing right by your full-time star by putting him over. You could have done a bit better by him. With his theme song and all that sort of fun stuff. But all in all, was it bad? No. Was it great? No. Was it somewhere in the middle? Yes.
Yeah, I would agree there. But that ended Dynamite for Wednesday night. The fallout to All Out. I thought it was a solid show. There was a lot that went on. You saw Punk, you saw Brian, you saw Cole, Ruby. They all had their moments from the debuts. I thought it was another really good, solid episode of Dynamite. Like it did seem like it was rushed a little bit and that the timing or pacing might have been off. But all in all, it was an enjoyable 2 hours of television.
I thought a lot of the lesser knowns had a good showing.
Yes, I agree. They built up some mid-card people and put them in good spots to look like, they look like the future a little bit.
I thought it was odd not having Jericho on the show after his big win, though.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if he was started his touring or what he was doing, but yeah, that is true. Like he was not there. It is. I didn't think about it when it happened, but now that you just mentioned it, it was like, you would think he would be there to celebrate or maybe that's what we'll get this week because I'm assuming.
But he mustn't have been there, period, because he didn't commentate Rampage.
Exactly. So he might have been starting the tour or doing something.
Or he's at Excalibur's wedding, one or the other.
No, that might be true as well. And then we get Rampage. Man, I'm telling you, Rampage is good, man. This is a good wrestling show. An hour, it's quick.
An hour? Where are you going with an hour? Fight must have fucked up big time because this show went 43 minutes. I'd finished it before you guys were even started the main event.
Yeah, it is, man.
Josh tweeted. I tweeted the result, and I didn't realize that it was still going. at like quarter 2.
So are there there's no commercials when you're watching?
At them, I don't know. It's the first time I've watched it live, and like the main event had finished, and it was like 1:15 my time.
Yeah.
So it was like 45 minutes of the show. And then I think Josh tweeted out, he's like, "Oh, the fight coverage is way ahead of TNT." And I'm like, "Oh shit, I just tweeted the result." Not that it mattered. I knew it was, pre-taped anyway, and
yeah,
it was only the Pillman caster result that did it. I said, novel concept, the hometown guy gets saved by the hometown guy and they stand tall, blah blah blah. So it was nothing too major, but yeah, it was weird. Like the show literally went 43 minutes. They started, I was washing my dishes from like lunch.
Yeah.
And they started to replay the show again. Puck versus Andrade was on again. I was like, oh, this is weird.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened.
That's crazy. All right, let's dive in. Well, we get show goes on the air, and Andrade and Pac are already in the ring. No entrances. They're already in the ring, standing across from each other with Justin Roberts right in the center. Felt like a big fight from the second the show started. This is a match that, obviously got postponed from All Out due to travel issues, but this is a match that everyone knew was going to be really good. Everyone thought it might steal the show at All Out. I'm glad it got this position and had its own time on Rampage, because boy, oh boy, was this one a good one.
Yes.
As to be expected. These two guys, just next level, as you say, king shit.
Yes.
So, I mean, some of the things that stuck out for me, I thought the over-the-top spike DDT onto the apron by Andrade was amazing. The plancha from the middle rope where he did the full rotation spin in midair, incredible. Holy, I mean, a guy
core strength to pull that off.
Yeah, like ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. We had a stomp from the top rope, one that he hit where Andrade just went straight down ass first to the ground, which I was like, oh man, you're gonna break a tail.
You know what I liked about that spot?
Oh, I think I might have it in my notes, but I'm gonna let you go.
Andrade held Puck's arm.
Yeah, so Puck wasn't holding onto the ropes.
Hanging there like a dork.
Yeah. That's one of the things when it comes to those type of when it comes to those things, they always usually hold the ropes so you can clearly see them holding themselves up to get stomped. Yeah. That literally is in my notes both times. Even the one later that he missed, I was like,
yep.
Pac is not holding the rope. He's not holding the rope. It looks like he's literally dangling there.
The first one, Puck was trying to grab the ropes to pull himself up.
Yeah, and Andrade just grabbed him.
And Andrade just grabs him, pulls him up, and then lets him go as he's dropping down. I was like, oh,
and in my notes, I wrote, appreciate Pac not holding himself up on the ropes during both stomp attempts. Little things matter sometimes. That's literally my note. Towards the end of and again, there was a lot in this match. Pac had a gorgeous moonsault to the outside on Andrade. And then towards also he did the snap German off the ropes, followed by Andrade was running at him, and he did the belly to belly into the corner, which looked gnarly. Man,
the spot that preceded the moonsault on the outside too. Sunset flip powerbomb onto the apron floor, but he backflipped out of it into the super kick. Oh,
yeah, God. So good, so good. And then towards the end of the match, we get Jose, who is the other guy, not Chavo, but the other guy with Andrade.
Who is that guy?
I don't know. We don't know much about him, but they called him Jose, so that's all I know. He gets on the apron and he has like a taser or a stun gun. He's
what the fuck?
I don't know. That was out of nowhere to me. Anyway, it happened. Lucha Brothers come out and they pull him off the apron and double super kick him. But as that's happening, the ref gets distracted. Chavo goes in the ring with the iPad that he has, and he hits Pac over the head with the iPad, and then Andrade covers Pac and gets the 1-2-3 victory. And that's kind of how this match ended. And then as they're leaving and they're walking up the ramp, Chavo's celebrating, and you see kind of Andrade like repeatedly looking at Chavo like, did you hit him with that? Like, oh, and he's like kind of smiling, but he's like, you hit him with that? Like, you hit him with that? And they're walking up the ramp, and you see this Jose character. He leans in, and he says something to Andrade. And then Andrade looks at Chavo, and he asked him one last time, like, hey, you hit him with that? And Chavo's like, oh, don't worry about it. And he pulls Chavo in for a hug, and he gives him a forearm shot and just goes like this, like, I'm done with you. And he leaves Chavo on the ramp. As they go up, Chavo's looking at him, and Chavo turns around to a double super kick from the Lucha Brothers. So it looks like Chavo, and I like the pairing of Chavo and Andrade. But it looks like as quickly as it was here, it is gone. It is gone now.
He's had as many managers as he has matches.
I saw some people on social media being like, "Oh, good, now maybe they can bring in Flair and things like that." And I'm like, "Oh, maybe we'll see." But I actually like the pairing of Chavo and Andrade. I thought it was working well for me as a fan.
Yeah.
But I'll let you talk about the match. Obviously, we went through like kind of the big spots, but the match was just so good. I'll let you talk about the match, and then I'll let you really dive into the aftermath and what you think about the breakup from Chavo so soon, and just everything involved.
The match was amazing.
Yeah.
So damn good.
Yeah.
I love AEW's modus operandi being 10-15 minute opening bangers.
Mm-hmm.
Just no bullshit, none of this. Sorry, my headphones are giving me the shit.
Sorry.
It's just refreshing rather than promo this, promo that. Half an hour later, let's have a match now, please.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that twisting plancha to the outside was fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, man. I cannot believe like the spin in midair is like what?
The abs that I don't have hurt from watching that shit. The subtleties where like Andrade on both attempts was holding Puck's arm on the stomp, so it didn't look dorkish. That sort of stuff. It's what makes these guys great. Those little things are what make people like Andrade and Puck elite level talents.
Yep.
And they're the reasons why we enjoy watching them so much.
100%.
As we spoke about, the closing stretch of this match, the sunset powerbomb, backflipped out of super kick, moonsault, into the snap germ and the belly to belly throw and all that sort of stuff into the brutalizer. That was all fantastic. The ending with the stun gun and the Lucha Bros interference and the iPad shot from Chavo.
Yeah, there was a lot. It was convoluted. It was a lot.
It was very WWE finish.
Just a lot of stuff. There was a lot of stuff going on.
I just didn't like it.
Yeah,
I loved the match. I didn't like the finish.
That's fair. It makes you kind of want to see him again, right?
Yeah, I've got no problem with Andrade winning.
Yeah,
or cheating to win. But yeah, there was just a lot going on.
Yeah,
and it just not something I want to see creep into AEW. To be honest,
yeah.
But granted, they don't do it a lot, but I don't want to see it creep in.
Yeah.
As for the Chavo split, yeah, it's a choice, and you can only assume it's going to lead to Flair coming in. But when he's had as many managers now as he's had matches in the promotion, that's an issue.
Yeah, yeah.
These are the sort of things that have bugged him everywhere he's been. Except for his early days in Mexico or Japan or wherever it was, and he's running NXT. When he went to main roster WWE, he was plagued with these sort of problems. Now in AEW, he's seemingly plagued with these sort of problems.
Yeah,
I don't know. He seemed to work well with a female mouthpiece. If Vicky wasn't it, why not try something left field? Try Dasha is bilingual. Try Dasha. Something different.
Yeah.
I don't know. But you know what? If it leads to Flair coming in, that's cool. Stick with Flair. Don't have him chop, change, up, down, all around, because otherwise he's going to end up on the outer of another major promotion and no one seemingly knows what to do with him as a whole. And that's a shame because he's so damn good.
Yeah, he's so good. So good. All right, we then get a interview in the ring with Darby Allin and Sting with Tony Schiavone. Schiavone asked Darby about his opinions of what Tully said on Dynamite. Darby calls Spears a generic piece of shit. Wonderful.
Yep.
And that
Charming.
listen here, you generic piece of shit. And then he says that without Tully, Sean Spears would be nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Sting then grabs the mic, and I thought this was a really good Sting promo. I thought this was like old school Sting to me. He does the the whoa, the chant, and then he goes, you saying that I'm riding coattails. He goes, last time I checked, weren't you riding old Slick Rick's coattails for a long time? And he goes, and what about Arn? So this guy brings back the Four Horsemen kind of history there that everyone knows about. And he's like, so he goes, you're saying that I'm trying to hang on and do stuff like that. Like that was your whole career, buddy. That was your whole career. Tully then comes out and he's kind of rambling at first. And I'm like, he's kind of talking about a whole lot of nonsense. I have no idea what he's really talking about. And then you kind of see why he's rambling, because as he has Sting's attention, Sean Spears comes from out of the crowd, pulls Darby out of the ring and hits that running Death Valley driver. Is there a name for it that I just don't know? I don't know. Have they called it a name?
C4.
All right. Yes, the C4. He hits the C4 on the outside to Darby. And then once Sting kind of sees, he goes after him, and Sean Spears runs off into the crowd, and Tully's laughing, and he goes, see, that's what I'm talking about. That happened just like we planned it. So, and that's how they lead to Dynamite this week, which we will see Spears versus Darby Allin with both Sting and Tully in the respected corners of their gentlemen.
It did make Sting look a little doggish, to be honest, but that's a nitpick.
Yeah. But, Sting's got to know better, right? He's one of the all-timers. You got to know that, you got to have your head in a swivel. But I thought all in all, I thought it was good. It gave Sean Spears the advantage, which in a match with Darby Allin, you basically know he's probably most likely 98% going to lose. You think he's going to win? No, Darby's going to win.
I thought he was winning, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Everyone knows that. But, you make him look strong.
Yeah.
The last time you see him before the match, whatever. It works. And I'm sure Sting and Tully will get into some physical altercation during the match, and it'll be cool for what it is. AEW is really like, when they do things like this, they've done it pretty well. But yeah, I thought it was a pretty good segment. Do you have anything to add, or just your opinions of the segment in general? Or
no. As I said before, Darby and Spears this week on Dynamite shall be good.
Yeah.
Do I have any what's the word? Any want to see Sting versus Tully one-on-one in 2021, 2022? No.
Yeah, it's fair. All right. We then get a vignette between Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson, which I really like this a lot. Adam Cole starts it off. He says the Elite is a brotherhood, and it is incredibly special. He says that he trusts the Young Bucks and Omega with his life, and they all trust him as well. He says
that's
that
ironic considering they killed him 4 years ago.
It's true. He mentions Bryan Danielson and Christian Cage, and he says that they are also special. And he says that there's a reason why people think so highly of them, because they're in ring and their careers you can't argue with. But he promises that he hasn't even hit his prime yet. And he would, yes. He goes, I promise you, I have not hit my prime yet, and I would wipe the floor with Bryan Danielson. It then cuts over to Bryan Danielson, and he says, the way the Elite act and dress, it sounds like they're all just insecure to him. He says that he isn't going after all of the Elite per se. He's really just going after one person in the Elite. He's heard of the legend of Kenny Omega. He's seen it. Says the reality is he just wants to get in there and wrestle. And he says that he would love Kenny Omega to be his first match. But if it is not, he knows that somebody in AEW in the locker room will step up, because that's why he wanted to go there. And that's why he loves AEW, because everyone is hungry. And he goes, I'm here. I'm game. Let's go. And that's how that ended. I thought this was great. These two guys are money. Can't miss. Give me that match too. Okay. I know we saw it on SmackDown a couple years ago. It was excellent. But yeah, give me that match. What'd you think of the vignette here? What'd you think of what both guys had to say?
Awesome. This was so good. Adam Cole especially. I don't know whether it's by design or whether it just happens this way. He never mentions the Good Brothers in anything.
Yeah, I noticed that. He didn't do it on Wednesday, and even to the point where like the Young Bucks were like around Carl Anderson, like patting him on the chest, going like, "Oh, it's all right." Like because Anderson was like, "What the f didn't he mention us? We're here too."
Yeah. I don't know whether that's by design or
Well,
what.
when he was part of the group, were they around all the time, or were they already gone at that point?
They were part of Bullet Club, but
was it really usually only the 4 of them? Is that why he doesn't?
But as for Ring of Honor days, I don't think they were around. No.
Okay, yeah.
Because
I'm trying to think because I've noticed that too, and I'm like, maybe were they not part of the original?
But when Cole got killed off, he got kicked out of Bullet Club just before that.
Yeah.
And they were in Bullet Club, obviously. So
yeah.
I don't know. It's weird whether that's going to play into any sort of segregation down the line. I have no idea, but I'm just here for the ride.
Oh yeah.
As I said before, hearing Cole say he's an elite professional wrestler that's not yet in his prime.
Crazy.
Oh boy, that's scary.
Yes, it is.
In a good way. A good way, but that's just scary to think of. Like, my goodness. It just gives me goosebumps. Such a good thought. And yeah, Danielson's promo was quality. Give me him and Omega. Give me him and everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone.
All
of it.
I feel the same. I feel
even him versus Jungle Boy in like a respectful match. Fucking yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Every day of the week, twice on Sundays. I don't care.
Yep. I agree. Yep. I 100% agree. All right. We then get the 6-woman tag match between Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter, and Rebel against Ruby Soho, Chris Statlander, and Riho. I'm going to let you take the lead on this one, but first and foremost, the thing, and I know Josh Robinson tweeted it at the beginning when Riho, she takes off her coat and Orange Cassidy's on the outside with his arms out like, I'll catch it. And she throws it. And he doesn't even move, and the coach just falls to the ground. Yeah, small thing, but again, the guy, he's gold. The guy, anything he does, he's gold. He's so good. But I'll let you take the lead here. I thought again, I
wish people loved me for being so lazy.
Right? Oh my god. What'd you think of the 6-woman tag here? What'd you think of? Yeah, what'd you just think of this match? I'll kind of let you take the lead.
This match was good. I enjoyed this. I thought it was solid. Again, was it perfect? No, of course not. No match is ever perfect, but I enjoyed watching this match. I thought it was good, solid fun, bell to bell. Give me a feud with Hayter and Statlander. Like, give me all of that. 2 attractive, solid, muscular women just beating the shit out of each other. Yeah. Yes, please. Yeah. But give me, just give me all those ladies versus everyone, because it's just ridiculously good at the moment. Mm-hmm. I thought Ruby looked good in this match. I thought Jamie looked especially good in this match. She's strong. She sells well. The sell she had of the sidekick from Ruby and then the STO that followed it was insane.
Yep.
And then the sell she had of Riho's crossbody off the top to the outside was also insane. Mm-hmm. She makes her opponents look $1 million. Granted, she's used to working people like Riho after working in Stardom. So, but it is what it is. It's good to see Riho back on TV.
Yes, I agreed.
Your first women's champion, regardless of what you think of her size or her weight or whatever, she's so talented in ring.
Yes. That was in my notes too. It was like, it was nice to see her back. It was nice to see her back.
Even if it's for her infectious energy and smile, like she brings something. It's not going to vibe with everyone, but I enjoy watching her.
I do too.
Do I want to see her versus Nyla Rose and see her win the roll up like she did when she won the title? Maybe not, but we've come a long way since then, and there are ways to do things. But yeah, this match was great. You can't forget this was taped, so Ruby and Hayter worked 2 matches this night.
Yeah,
the fact that they did that at such a high level is just a credit to the amount of work the women do now.
Yep.
But yeah, they just need to expand the amount of women's matches they have. to not only get this quality of match, but better and regular moving forward. As I said before, I think the aim should be at least 2 matches on Dynamite plus a segment, whether that's a backstage promo or whatever. And then on Rampage, at least 1 match on a 1-hour show. They seem to be getting 3 matches in on Rampage. So 1 women's match, 2 men's matches. It's not hard. I think that's the way of the future, at least short term anyway.
Yep, 100%. I agree. All right. So then we are basically to the main event. They do a couple rundowns of some future matches. We're going to see Adam Cole versus Kazarian on Dynamite. That should be a good one. We're also going to see Jade Cargill versus Layla Hirsch, which
Gimme.
Yes. Hopefully they give them some time. I want that one to have some time. I know Jade is still learning and green, as they say, but that's a match I'm very interested in. Layla Hirsch is very good, and she just had a match with a very more larger woman in Camille a couple of weeks ago that was excellent.
Beat me too. Yes.
Yes. So I'm very interested in that match as well. We got Darby Allin and Spears, and then they say that we got Cody and Malachi Black in a couple weeks at Arthur Ashe. One thing that I did like was before the main event match with Pillman Jr. and Caster, they had Mark Henry out back. And they kind of showed it. He had an interview with them, and he was kind of in the middle. Kind of gave it more than it gave it more of a big fight feel. It gave Caster and Pillman an opportunity to speak. They said nothing really stuck out to me with what they were saying. But
I'm sorry, I have to laugh.
What?
Have you not watched any other episode of Rampage?
Why have they done this every week? Am I just oblivious?
Yes, they have.
Oh well. For some reason, this was like, is this new? I've watched every episode.
Yeah, they've done it every week.
Well, sorry.
And then Mark Henry seemed his thing is enough talking. It's time for the main event.
Yeah, that's like his shtick. How the hell have I've watched every episode.
I don't know. We talked about this
second
episode when Garcia versus Moxley. Remember we were talking about 2.0.
Oh yeah. All right, that makes sense. I don't know.
Come on, man.
I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But anyway, my bad. What? I don't remember. I mean, don't get me wrong. I had a real good time in my 20s. My mind is not the greatest, but like, how do I not remember losing? Anyway,
it's all good. I like that they continue to do it, even if it's not a Moxley or someone in the match. Though
maybe that's it. Maybe I just assumed because it was I don't know. Whatever. But anyway, the match itself, solid match. I thought it was pretty good. I thought. Again, I mentioned it earlier, but I like how they gave these 2 guys 2 mid-card tag team wrestlers. And like I like how, Pillman's from there. Pillman's from Cincinnati. It's a hometown show for him. And they gave him a main event spot on one of their shows in his hometown.
It's a novel concept, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just good stuff. Oh, you mean he didn't get attacked by 9 guys or made to look like an asshole in front of his hometown crowd? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it just felt like such the opposite. Like, hey, you're the hometown kid. You're going to be in the main event of Rampage. Oh, thank you. No, yeah, we're not going to have you lose. We're not going to have you get beaten down in front of your hometown. Like, you're going to have a spot, and we're going to make you look like the hometown hero here because that's what you are. Yeah. Like, it's refreshing. It's very, like you said, it's novel. It's a simple concept, is it not? But it's so refreshing to see because you just don't see it.
Correct.
The other ways.
Our brains are trained to see it differently.
Yeah. I mean, but anyway, your impressions of the match, and just in general, and we'll talk about what happened towards the end to end the show as well. So,
yeah, look, this match wasn't a 5-star classic by any stretch, but you know what? This is 2 lesser known talents, if you will, put in a big main event match on national television. That's huge, regardless of whether you win, lose, or whatever. That's big for both of these guys. Both these guys do a lot of their work on Dark, which is a YouTube show. So to get the spotlight, especially for Pillman, in his hometown, in front of family and friends and whatever else, that's huge. And did they disgrace themselves? No, not at all. Not at all. Nope. And I thought, you know what? It didn't overstay its welcome. It went probably 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was fine. It was fine. There was no glaring botches that I can remember. It was just solid wrestling match between 2 guys looking to make their mark.
Yep. And then at the end, after Pillman gets the victory, Anthony Bowens gets in the ring and starts attacking him, and they start beating him down. And then out of nowhere,
Anthony Bowens so much more than Alex Costa.
Anthony Bowens, that guy is good. That guy's a star. You can see and don't get me wrong, like obviously the one indiscretion in that rap that he shouldn't have, that is what it is. Everybody knows that story.
Do you like that they're using that as a sort of angle now? Because his rap sort of insinuated that they were.
Well, my thing is, I like when Bowens grabbed the mic and he's like, "Hey man, like you're on thin ice, man. You got to watch yourself."
Yeah,
that made me chuckle, but I don't think it's something they should harp on. Like we get it, like it's been a week or two since you've been back. Like you got to move on. Like you got to pretend that shit didn't happen.
But the raps that he did, like the rap he did on Rampage, they're the sort of raps that I can get on board with.
Yes. I thought this one was very simple. It was making fun of Cincinnati, making fun of Pillman,
Yeah, they're the sort of raps I could get on board with. They're the sort of raps that early Cena was doing as a shitty heel.
Yes.
Got me to like him and that shtick.
Yeah.
Am I ever going to be a huge Caster fan? Probably not, but
Bowens
they're the sort of raps that I can appreciate.
Yep.
As a heel, not the garbage he said in relation to Julia Hart all those weeks ago. So,
yeah, I agree.
But Bowens is a star.
Yeah, Bowens I think is a star. He's going to be his charisma jumps off the screen, and he only does really. He's starting to do a lot more like promo wise with them, but he's only been given, he gets the line, he does the town, the Acclaim have arrived, but they're starting to let him speak a little bit more, and I think he's killing it. And after the match, he gets in there, they start beating down Pillman, and the other hometown boy, Jon Moxley, comes down, hits the paradigm, hits Bowens over the head with his boombox there, hits the paradigm shift on Caster, and we end Rampage with Jon Moxley with his arm around the shoulder of Brian Pillman Jr., Yeah, man, that's Moxley's a big deal. Obviously, like that's a good spot for Pillman Jr. there to be associated with Moxley on television like that. And I know it's the Cincinnati thing. I get it. It's not going to be. They're not going to be together next week. But still, though, for that moment to be, yeah, man, that's good for Brian Pillman Jr. I know I've said it a few times on here because they're kind of giving him a little bit of a rub here the next couple weeks. But I thought that was a good spot, and that was very cool to have Moxley out there with a mid-card guy like Pillman and kind of give him the rub like that. All in all, I thought Rampage again, it's an hour of television. For you, it was 45 minutes, but it's an hour of television that doesn't feel like an hour of television. It goes by fast, but it feels like it's longer. It's very, but I think the way they booked the shows, you got the big match at the beginning, couple promos, 3 or 4, like 3 matches throughout the show. It's just a well put together, well booked television show. Apparently, one that I don't pay attention to that much because I can't remember that. Do you know what Rampage is to me? Good.
You're gonna like this one.
Oh yeah.
It's an hour of power.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I got something about that. An hour of power.
Knew you'd like that one.
I did. Yeah. So that was AEW for the week. We obviously started with a little bit of All Out because we wanted Matt's the franchise's opinion there. But that was AEW again. I think another super strong, super solid week of AEW wrestling.
Yeah.
They are going this way, and I don't see them stopping anytime soon.
Look, don't get me wrong, this Dynamite show wasn't their best, but their level of what we expect from Dynamite is ridiculously high at the moment.
Yeah.
So reaching that level, their shows have to be huge. And sort of 7, 8 out of 10, they hit it or get close to it. But even so, this show, it wasn't a hard watch. It went quick. It was an easy watch. I enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. Was it an all-timer? No, it wasn't. But it was still a fun watch. And it was an easy show to talk about.
Yep. I agree. All right. Well, let's talk about some business here before we get out of here because it's been 2 hours and 10 minutes. I know it's like 1:15 in the morning there, and you got to work tomorrow. I love you. I appreciate you. But let's talk about some business for a few minutes before we let you get some sleep.
Some town bitterness.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, before we get to the plugs, we are the War Report. It started with Matt and myself. We were both doing NXT and AEW reviews. Life got in the way a little bit. Matt had to handle some business, take care of some stuff. He's back. He's good to go. We're going to do a little bit of a rebranding of sorts. We'll still have the same logo. It'll still be under the War Report banner per se. But as Matt was away, I had great people helping me out. Ed, Astrid, Pluggo, Cody, Phil, and others too that hopped in to cover me on nights I couldn't make it. And we made it work with a lot of good people here at Love Wrestling. So what we're going to do starting this week is the two shows are going to kind of separate themselves a little bit, where the NXT show, which will be called NXT, but TEA, like the T, like the business, the gossip. That's going to be on Tuesday nights, directly after NXT. When NXT goes off the air, it will feature Ed, it will feature Astrid, and it will feature Cody. I kicked Pluggo to the side because he's already stuck with me for one night, so that's enough for Pluggo. Just kidding, Pluggo.
Fuck that guy.
I love Pluggo. Just kidding. So that's going to be the Tuesday night show. And then for us on either Saturday or Sunday, but it will be a morning show like this in the States. We are going to be calling it the Weekend Elite Report. We will be focusing on Dynamite and Rampage weekly. AEW is what Matt watches nowadays. It's what is filling his wrestling fandom heart. We've mentioned it 1,000 times, just the optimism around AEW. And the way Rampage is gone, we knew that Rampage was a show that should be covered. And this was the best way to do it. So we're going to see a little bit of rebranding, maybe some new color schemes, things like that, starting this coming week on Tuesday with the NXT show. But I just wanted to put that out there because obviously there have been some changes. Go ahead.
Basically, I wasn't feeling enthusiastic about NXT anymore while I was away. I was A, not having time to catch up on it, and B, didn't really feel the need to want to catch up on it, for a lack of a better term. I watched TakeOver. I watched a bit of the NXT after TakeOver, and it still wasn't doing anything for me. So I didn't feel it was justifiable to force myself to watch a show that I probably wasn't going to enjoy and then come out and give my feedback on it. AEW is a show that I really enjoy watching. I watch it because I enjoy it. Even when I wasn't on here on a weekly basis, I was still catching up on it. Even if it was, 5, 6, 7 days later, I still made sure I watched it. So that's the show. They're the shows I enjoy. They're the shows I want to speak about with all you guys and yourself, JPJ. So that's the main reason we've done this. JPJ and the rest of the crew have been very accommodating in allowing that to happen. So I thank and appreciate every single one of them. But yeah, every week I'm back. You're stuck with my ugly ass head every week. Even if it is 1 o'clock in the morning, I don't care. It is what it is. I do this because I enjoy it. It's time to get, I've been in lockdown for too fucking long. It's time to just do things I enjoy, and this is one of them.
Yeah. And that's where it's at, man. So that's how the War Report is going to be looking in the future here. That's what we're going to be doing there. I know Matt made a reference to a Power Hour a little earlier, saying that I would like that. Our good friend and Love Wrestling colleague, Josh Robinson, on his own channel. We're going to be
that guy.
We're going to be starting a new show, him and I, and it's called the J&J Power Hour, where we're going to be answering one question per episode. So I can't tell you what I can't tell you what the opening question is going to be. We're going to save that, but let's just say, they'll just throw it out there. Like, we would be like, who's the greatest intercontinental champion of all time? And then the whole episode will be us talking about who we think is the greatest intercontinental champion of all time and the reasons why.
That's so subjective. I love it.
Yes. And we want it to be kind of like we do here, kind of like what I do on Between Two Beards. We want there to be a chat. We want it to be involved. We want others' opinions. We want to have the conversation go in all different directions. So it's a really good idea. Josh and I have been talking about it for a few months now. I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be a fun show. There will be more details on social media. I know Josh kind of posted when it's debuting and stuff like that. I believe the aim is for September 23rd. I believe it's a Thursday evening. It'll be Thursday morning, United States time, Thursday evening for you lads in Australia. But yeah, I'm super excited about it. The concept, like you said, it's a very exciting concept. It's subjective. It gives us things to just talk about, and like we should be able to fill up those hours relatively easily with that format. So be on the lookout for that. As far as Love Wrestling goes, in just a little bit over an hour and a half, we're going to have our Sunday brunch at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here. That's the flagship show. That's the flagship show of Love Wrestling every Sunday at 1.
Is Spencer back this week?
That I don't know. I know he's been busting his butt doing all sorts of ring announcing, running wrestling shows, working his shoot job. Guy's a monster, man. Never stops working.
I messaged him. I get no response. I messaged him 3 days later, and then all of a sudden, before I know it, I've got like 4 or 5 of my messages in a row, and I'm like, "Fuck, I'm busted his balls."
Yeah, no, he's been a busy guy since basically SummerSlam weekend. Since he got back, just busy. So I don't know if he will be involved. Hopefully, it'd be nice to see him. But yeah, so check that out. And Love Wrestling, just go to lovewrestling.ca. We got stuff up there every day. We have shows almost every day. You can check me out. Okay.
Put it this way. If I can get Lindsay Snow to follow Love Wrestling on Twitter, you can do it too.
Absolutely. Follow us on Twitter. Subscribe to us on Twitch, YouTube. We are everywhere. Go to the Love Wrestling CA shop. We got mugs. We got T-shirts. We got, we're growing. We got good people doing good things.
We still have fanny packs?
I think we might, yeah. I had one of those things in Vegas. Spencer brought one for me. I was like,
get some.
Yes. So follow us all the way around. Thank you guys for the support. I know this one was a longer one, but thank you everyone in the chat for being involved. We appreciate all of you. Thank you to RK Athletics. Again, follow them on all social medias for RK Athletics 1. Matt, franchise, you got anything else to plug coming up soon? Or are you just kind of chilling, trying to get some stuff in the works maybe?
No, I want to get out of lockdown so I can do my thing.
Yeah, that's fair.
No, I've got just got a lot of life things going on, man. It's the reason I was away for a period of time is, I'll say it. I separated with my partner. It is what it is. Being married is a commitment, and sometimes a commitment it just falls apart. It happens, and that's life. So. Yeah, I'm in the process of trying to sell my house, which you can't do because we're in lockdown. So,
yep.
It is what it is. But once I'm able to have my own space, I plan to venture into doing other things. I've got my own Twitch, which I don't get to use often enough. So I want to use that a lot more. And I've got a capture card. I want to start playing video games more regularly because that's what I love to do. I love to watch wrestling. I love to talk wrestling. I love to play video games. And yeah. And I need to speak to my broker about a home loan in a month. Yeah. I'm going to do that. And at the same time, I'm also going to speak to her about the best way for me to save money so I can get to All Out next year. I've decided that's what I want to do.
Dude. Let's go.
I've decided I've never been into overseas ever.
Really?
So I've decided never.
Cool.
So I saw the fun everyone was having between SummerSlam and All That this year, and I've decided, fuck it. It's time for me to live life, and that's something I want to do.
Sweet. That'll be awesome. I would definitely be down to join you there. But for the franchise, for myself, thank you all for watching. Thanks for hanging in here. We will see you guys next Sunday morning for another episode of the week of the newly touted Weekend Elite Report. But until then, for the franchise, for myself, peace out.
Peace.